This is the Son of the Law podcast. Hey everyone, welcome. Welcome to the Son of the Law podcast. I'm your host, Jay Christopher. And joining me in my home today is Michael Berry. What's up, Michael?
Not much.
So glad to have you here. Really looking forward to chatting with you. Before we get into our conversation, I want to thank our sponsors, Complete Auto Service in Richmond, Cutting Edge Landscapes in Lawson, and the Lawson Review, your hometown newspaper right here in the 64062. Also, thank you to everyone for listening and supporting the show. As a reminder, you are why we do this and what this is all about. Message us for merch on Instagram at Son of the Law Podcast, or send me a good old-fashioned Gmail at sonofthelaw.podcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to share the show across all platforms being Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or your favorite podcast player. We still have people listening on the interwebs as well. So however you're coming to us, we really do appreciate you and everything you're doing. Also encourage people to follow the show. Turn notifications on so that you can be ready for that next episode, which drops every other Monday at 6 a.m. so that drive to work or never miss a Monday workout can be extra special. Speaking of never miss a Monday workout, Michael Berry, you walk in and there's a presence about you. You bring, how tall are you, 5'10"?
5'7".
No.
Yeah.
You are stacked. I mean, absolutely ripped. And how do you do that?
Consistency. Try to eat right.
Yeah. Well, I want to dig in more about that because I, do the bro hug, little, dap and bring it in. And I don't know. I feel like I fold around you. You're so hard. It's crazy. Let me introduce you a little bit. Michael Berry, I got to know you through my brother who sent me a message on just the interwebs through Regen, a men's group that meets, and guess the basic format is you gather together. There is a time of music. There is a message given where you talk about something that's related to the program, and then at the end of the message portion, somebody gives an account of how the message or the event of the night impacted their lives.
Basically, it's a 10-minute testimony of your life, where you were before, where you're at now, and what your goals were. Your goals are.
So I saw that from my brother, and generally when he and I send messages back and forth, it's like, hey, listen to this. And so I fast forwarded through the music. That's my deal. I listened to other things, listen to the message, and I'm like, all right, that was a great message. And this one happened to be about anger, which, I mean, that's my go-to emotion. I don't know what yours is or whatever, but like it used to be. Yeah. I've done a lot of work there between books and just reflections and things of that nature. And one of the things that kind of stuck out there and stuck out in several of the materials I've read is you never make good decisions when you're angry.
Exactly.
Like in your anger, you can feel that emotion. That's fine. But the product of that can't ever be a decision made as a result of it. You let the emotion fill you, fine, but let that head cool off and then make a decision that's going to be productive. The best police officers, the best, administrators or whatever, anytime they make a decision out of anger, it generally results in bad things happening. So
correct.
Anyway, so that was the message, and I was getting ready to turn it off. And 20 minutes, 25 minutes are left in the episode or whatever it is that Justin had shared. And, this stone cold Steve Austin dude rolls up to the microphone
I don't know about that.
and starts talking. And I mean, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this guy a few minutes, see what this is all about. And you were intense. You could tell you were very passionate about what you were going to talk about, and I didn't know what you were going to talk about at the time. But at the same time, and I mean, I think people will see it here too, you're also now still very calm and under control, which is, I mean, I think evidence of maturity. And also, you don't mince words. You're very just clear. Talking with you is clear. This is who I am. This is what I'm about. Take it or leave it, you know. And I just really appreciate that about you. You talked then for about 15 minutes, and you gave kind of an account, a testimony, if you will, of your life. And I did not, my jaw didn't come off the floor for that whole time. And I'm like, this is crazy. I reached out to my brother and I'm like, hey, you know this guy? He's like, yeah, sure. You know, whatever. And I said, can I talk to him? So I got a chance to reach out to you, and we met for a coffee connection and a basic pre-brief for coming on the show turned into a 3-hour dialogue. And it's fascinating. It's remarkable. And I mean, it's an account of you are a new creation, and it is it's a pleasure for us to have you here to hear your story and to talk through some of these things with you. So thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Can you walk us through just a little bit, because we're going to get into some of this stuff, maybe 2 to 3 minutes, how you were born and raised, a little bit about your family, and how people generally might know you in the area?
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to say a quick little prayer. So, Father God, I just thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for Chris opening up his home to me, for this opportunity to share what you can and will do if someone opens their heart to you and says yes on a daily basis. I pray that the words that come out of my mouth will infiltrate and penetrate the hearts of those who are lost. We pray more than anything, Lord, that lives are changed and souls are won for your kingdom. And may you be glorified through everything that's been done in and through my life, Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Really appreciate that. And that is the first time we've said a prayer on our show. And so that was probably really healthy and healing for some people, and it was probably very foreign for others. And so just spirit of transparency. If that turned you off, this man's story is not going to turn you off. And you'll understand why he said those words and what that's all about if you just hang with us for a little bit. All right. So how were you born and raised? A little bit about your family and how people might know you.
Well, first of all, I have a very, very dark past. I was raised in Kansas City. I was born in Kansas City, raised, moved to Mississippi as a little kid, came back at 3, been in Northeast all my life. I have a blended family. My dad had 2 boys and a girl. My mom had 2 girls and a boy. They got married and they had me. So there's 7 of us total. I was raised in a house. My dad was a very fantastic, wonderful person when he wasn't drinking. Mm-hmm. My mom, very lovable. I mean, very loving, very selfless. My dad would get drunk on the weekends, and he would beat my mom. Mm-hmm. So I endured this from the age of 3 up to 16, when I ended up having to put my hands on my dad and put a stop to it. Mm-hmm. So I do believe that violence cures violence. Mm-hmm. The Bible speaks on that. But not all the time. Mm-hmm. But through that, it created a person in me that protected that 3-year-old little boy. And going through counseling and through Regen, my counselor said, who is it you're trying to protect? And I said, it's a 3-year-old little boy. He said, why is he 3? That's the first time I saw my dad hold my mom down and beat her like a man. I remember seeing my sisters and on the other side of the room, and my brother standing behind him. He's the oldest, and I'm the baby. And I remember looking at them, looking at my brother, what are you going to do? And he didn't do anything. I remember running to my dad, just jumping on him and him backhanding me across the room. And, helpless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was it was violent when he was drunk, and it wasn't a good place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so very dark, as you said, and that led to a altercation about the age of 16, and then you've at a high level, some of the things we'll talk about, kind of in and out of jail, different perspectives, had several different relationships in your life, but now kind of on the back end of all this, kind of successfully come through it and got a new focus and a new purpose, and here we are today.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. What's something people wouldn't know about you or would be surprised to discover about you? And in this particular case, the list could be long.
I will be vulnerable in this. I would say that ultimately, especially with my family and my grandkids, I'm a teddy bear. My daughter will tell you that, I'll be the first to cry, but at the same time, I will have a tear in my eyes, and I will still put my hands on somebody if it came to, hurting my family. So big teddy bear.
Awesome.
Yeah. I just love people.
Awesome.
I truly love seeing people succeed, and to be a part of that is just amazing.
That's awesome. I love that. And I love it that you love people enough to practice discipline once in a while.
A lot of story fire there,
Tune
but
you up.
we don't want to glorify that.
I know. It's still at the same point though. And again, I'm like, again, so excited to have you here because again, your story and where you are now and where you've come from, right? Not to glorify the past, but to fully understand how dark it can be and has been, makes somebody with a story like yours really appreciate how light it can be and how light it is now.
Right.
And that contrast between what I was and what I am is on full display. And so, again, when I first met you, I mean, you're intense, don't get me wrong, but I mean, if I had not known some of the things I knew, I never would have expected that, never would have assumed that, right? Just assume, hey, this is a disciplined guy, maybe grew up in the military even, you know what I mean? And it's not that, but there's an edge about you that's good. And anyway, we'll dig into that some more. Let's rapid fire a few questions here. What's something serious you can now laugh about?
My stupidity.
I love that. What's a normal day in your life like right now?
Oh man, wake up 4:50 in the morning.
4:50? 4:15.
4:50.
Okay.
4:50 a.m. Read my word for 30, 45 minutes. Go to the gym for about an hour and a half. Come home, eat my breakfast, go to work.
Okay.
Work all day. Come home, get my dog, spend time with her, spend time with my girlfriend. Yeah.
Awesome. Sweet or salty snacks?
I try not to eat sugar, so
He's going salty.
Yeah, salty. I'm gonna have to say peanut butter and honey is my go-to if I want something.
Very good.
sweet.
Very good. Music, loud or quiet?
Praise and worship, loud. Country music, sometimes loud. Depends if I'm on my Harley or not.
Okay. All right. Early mornings or late nights?
Say it again.
Early mornings or late nights? This or that?
I'm an early person.
Early morning guy.
Oh yeah.
Routine or flexibility?
Definitely routine.
Yep. Alone time or a lot of people around you?
I love people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do people change more because of circumstances or choices?
I would say circumstances.
Okay. Is discipline more about structure or mindset?
Both.
Really?
Absolutely.
Okay. If you got to pick one or the other.
Discipline.
Discipline. Okay. Are people mostly honest with themselves or not really?
Not really.
Not really. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
On a farm, married to my fantastically wonderful girlfriend, and enjoying my grandkids, man.
Awesome. What do you want your life to feel like in the future? Peaceful, purposeful, or adventurous?
All three.
All the above.
Absolutely.
That's
100%, man.
That's excellent. This episode is brought to you by Complete Auto Service Center. If you've ever gone with the cheapest auto repair only to deal with the same problem again, you already know cheap isn't value. At Complete Auto Service Center, value means fixing it right the first time. Every visit includes a full inspection by experienced, certified technicians, plus a clear report that shows what's good, what needs attention right now, and what can wait. That means fewer surprises, smarter decisions, and a vehicle you can actually trust. And they don't waste your time. Your vehicle is inspected the same day, and they contact you quickly so you're never left wondering what's going on or what comes next. I've known Mark and Amanda for years. They've built a shop that treats customers like family, and family that stands behind their work with quality parts and a 36-month, 36,000-mile warranty. So before that small issue turns into a big repair, make Complete Auto Service Center your first call. Visit CompleteASC.com or stop by 718 Woolard Boulevard in Richmond. Complete Auto Service Center. Complete maintenance, complete repairs, complete peace of mind. This episode is brought to you by Cutting Edge Landscapes in Lawson, Missouri. Spring is almost here, and if you're ready for a lawn that actually turns heads this year, now's the time to call Cutting Edge Landscapes. I've trusted them with my own yard, and I can tell you firsthand, the results speak for themselves. Thicker grass, richer color, a lawn that looks professionally cared for because it is. Right now, they're offering a limited time early bird special. When you sign up for all 5 rounds of their professional lawn treatment program, you'll get 50% off aeration or 1 full application absolutely free. It's your choice. And they don't just do lawn treatments. Cutting Edge Landscapes handles everything. Custom landscaping, beautiful hardscapes, sprinkler systems, all completed by licensed professionals who take pride in every detail. With over 40 years serving our community, they've built a reputation for quality work and fair pricing that you can trust. Spring schedules fill up fast, so don't wait. Call Kent and Brandon today, 816-580-3343, or visit callcuttingedge.com. Cutting Edge Landscapes. Your lawn will thank you. This episode is brought to you by the Lawson Review. Since April 8th, 1881, one thing has never stopped in Lawson, Missouri, the local newspaper. From the very first printing of the Lawson Gazette to today's Lawson Review, this is the county's oldest newspaper with uninterrupted publication. Generations have lived it, written it, and read it week after week. The Lawson Review isn't just news. It's school events, local sports, city decisions, community voices, and the stories that may not make the big city headlines, but matter most right here at home. A subscription is just $29 for 1 year or $51 for 2 years. It's an affordable way to support local journalism and stay connected to your community. Contact the Lawson Review at lawsonreview@gmail.com. Visit at 405 North Pennsylvania, Lawson, Missouri, or call 816-296-3412. The Lawson Review, your hometown paper, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. All right, let's jump right in. I'd like to just start with who you are today.
Okay.
Because if we don't fully kind of unpack the joy of life and whatnot that you have, I think we're going to spend a whole lot of time telling your story and not fully appreciating the product at the end, right? Like I said, I don't want to glorify your past, but I really do appreciate your vulnerability and your willingness to talk about these things. And so I want people to see who you are today and the benefit of that as compared to the contrast, which we'll talk about later. So this point in your life, how would you describe who Michael Berry is today?
First and foremost, when I do speak, Chris, I never want to glorify the darkness of my past, but I like to paint a picture what a life can be if and when you say yes to Jesus.
Yeah.
And who Christ can be if you allow him to be the Lord of your life, if you continue to say yes every day. So repeat that question. Yeah.
So just at this point in your life, how do you describe who Michael Berry is today?
Man, I don't have a gray area. It's either black or white. Child of the Most High God, forgiven. I don't live or walk in shame anymore. Definitely a family man. Work hard. Just a goal seeker and a goal achiever. And I just love to love.
Awesome. I love that. And I'll continuously kind of reflect on some notes I took when we met for a pre-brief.
Okay.
And, you've said some things like at that point you said, my life doesn't belong to me anymore. What does that mean to you?
Well, it belongs to Christ, that statement right there was actually, and we'll get into it later, about a time of, I was thinking about suicide. I had been contemplating shooting myself in the head, and a friend of mine had a dream. The Lord came to him in a dream, and one day I'm having I've been struggling with this I was struggling with it for a couple of weeks. My son had done a drive-by, and Satan started playing in my head that, look, if you kill yourself, your son will accept Christ, your family, your kids, everybody will accept Christ. So I was thinking that's a no-brainer for me. I will lay my life down. But a friend got a hold of me and told me that, hey, just real quick, I had a dream. Lord came to me and said to call you, tell you that you don't belong to you. You belong to Him. That your life has been bought by a price that was paid for thousands of years ago, and you can't pay the ransom on that. So I don't belong to the Lord. Every day, I've cut so much out of my life. All the ambiguity that allows me to see clearer and live a clearer, cleaner life.
Very good. Now, people who may not fully understand all that work that's been done, what would you expect, or what would you think people misunderstand about you if they only saw you today?
Well, I just learned here recently that I'm not, when people see me, that I don't look approachable.
So you're not a teddy bear? You don't look like a teddy bear?
Yeah, I know, yeah. But, yeah, even the guys in my region group, leader came to me after I graduated and said, man, Mike, you scared the crap out of me, first 2 weeks, and that really surprised me. But there's just, I guess I got like a hardness about me, I guess. I try to be pretty, more approachable, but I guess that's just it. If it was just thing, I don't know.
Yeah.
I got like a meanness look to me or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. So,
I don't know.
Anyway, I think that's where the friends and the family come in and know you as a teddy bear. And
can I get a hug?
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. As far as early childhood, you were born in 1969, youngest of 7, blended family. Let's talk a little bit more about that childhood environment and, what you witnessed between your dad and the abuse of your mother.
Well, we, my brother Kevin, EJ, and my sister Carrie, they were in Blue Springs. Dawn, Perry, and Tina, they lived in Kansas City. And my Blue Springs side of the family would come and see us about every other weekend or so, whenever we could. But, man, they love me. They love me a lot. My brother Perry, I don't know, there was some sort of a jealousy all my life, even as a kid. Very, very, very mean. Just a mean person to me. There was a couple times him and my other brother Kevin, they would hog tie me in the basement, and they would beat me. To them it was a game, it was a joke. To me, of course, it terrified me, and but growing up, it was just, I love being with my family. We were a poor family. My dad made good money, but he drank it. So we went several times throughout my childhood. We would go weeks without lights. We would go weeks without water. And, the neighbor, we'd have a water hose going to the side of their house up through our bathroom, filling up, 15, 20 water jugs,
Oh, wow.
In the wintertime, there was times we didn't have heat. My mom, she did everything she could. She worked. She would get help from the churches, clothes. We'd get clothes that was handed down to us, or, she'd get help from the city or something like that for us to have school clothes. But even though that we were poor, my mom kept a tidy house. She kept a very clean house. I remember a time when we ate it's like state issue graham crackers for like a month. You know what I'm saying? That's all we had. You know what I mean? And then another time it was like we had potatoes. Everywhere you can take them, eating a potato, man, we had potatoes, But, you know, I mean, there was times that, you know, we look in the cabinet and I'll be eating a peanut butter and ketchup sandwich, man, just, or, you know, just tasting different things just to get some, you know, get
Something to fill the
us.
hole, yeah.
But my mom loved us, man, you know, and I knew what love was. And even though my dad was a hard person to my mom, he wasn't mean to us kids. You know, he didn't abuse us. You know, it was very confusing for me.
Sure.
I grew up, my dad would, you know, as a kid, you know, take me to the bar, set me on the, you know, on the counter while he was drinking. You know, back then it was normal. But I remember, you know, just seeing him talk about women's breasts and women's butts. And as a kid, I'm thinking, man, my mom's at home, you know. But these are the things, seeing the anger, seeing the emotions all over the place, seeing the, you know, the non-responsibility with my dad, it, you know, and being around all the anger. And, you know, my Uncle Jerry was a very violent person. Now, can I just tell you, it's okay to say everything?
Yeah, go ahead. And
So-
if I need to beep something out or whatever, I can. It's no problem.
Okay, yeah. Being as a kid, I remember my Uncle Jerry, you know, chopped up a guy, you know, with a hatchet, you know, and where's he go? He goes to our house afterwards, you know. Shot another guy with a 12 gauge, you know, in his chest. Where's he go? Our house, you know. But I saw this growing up. I saw the anger. I saw the violence. On my dad's side of the family, I was maybe less than 10 men who didn't go to prison. My dad did time. My uncles did time. My brother EJ did time. My brother Kevin did time. You know, so I was raised around violence. I was, you know, used to the penal system. You know, on weekends going to see my brother EJ was part of the Aryan Brotherhood at one time. So it was just, you know, I was just exposed to a lot of things I should not have been exposed to, but it molded me into a person I didn't like.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you know, you've already mentioned kind of the situation at 3, you tried to stop your dad, and, you know, looking around and seeing how your other siblings maybe just didn't do anything about it, and you felt like you had to do that. Like, how did that change you as a person? I mean, that doesn't just go away. That leaves a mark.
Yeah. Well, I grew up, I never expected my sisters to, you know, I always looked at, I teach my grandsons, women are flowers. So we serve them and we protect them. So I never expected them to do anything, but I expected my brother to, and he never did. So at heart, I'm a protector. I'm very guarded when it comes to the family. At the sound or a word of somebody, you know, hurt a child or a woman, it's like something clicks inside and it's just go time. So I have no remorse, you know, for protecting any ladies or any children.
Very good. You were in boxing gyms as early as 7, right? So you talk about being around, you've talked about being around violence and being around these types of things, but you were also kind of exposed to organized martial arts and combat sports.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
So what role did that play in your development and upbringing?
Yeah, as a kid, my brother, me, Perry, and EJ, when he came around on the weekends, my dad had us in a gym called Whatsoever Gym over in Northeast. And, you know, we boxed for a few years and then, you know, ended up getting, those showers were really dirty. So ended up getting some kind of fungus in our feet. So Mom, you know, took us out of that. But yeah, I got introduced to martial arts and ended up, you know, fighting for several years in, you know, different tournaments and kickboxing. But one thing I will say, Chuck Wolf was my coach. One thing that I appreciated about him is that he told us that, you know, he would tell me, he's like, look, you don't get to fight outside of competition. You know, you don't get to take it out on a bag, and you don't get to take it out on somebody in a ring. You're going to learn how to control yourself. So I didn't really learn how to really control that anger or that violent side of me until I met Chuck Wolf. So,
and what age were you when you met him?
Man, I was my 20s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's fundamentally different than the experiences you had growing up.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You had some things I again reflected on. You talked about how your brothers kind of encouraged you to fight, maybe even rewarding it. So
Yeah, I remember as a kid, my brothers they would typically have me fight one of their friends, and of course I get beat up, but it made me into something, more of a warrior kind of a mentality. I didn't think so at the time. I look back now and I know that there was a reason why I went through that. But yeah, my brothers would give me soda pops, man. You know what I'm saying? Give me candy. I'm thinking I was throwing my some candy. Come on, go ahead and punch him in the face. I'm like, he's bigger than me. I'll buy you a Coke. All right, done. It was, but it was, I don't know, it was just normal.
Yeah.
A lot of what people see as chaos is just normal, and even at 56 years old, even going through regen, I am still learning that the way I was thinking, the way I lived, it wasn't normal. So, and I'm even to this day, I'm still learning how to change the way that I think. We were at church on Sunday. I went in by myself. My girlfriend had something going on. I took my grandchildren to church. When they're with me, they're at church. We read the Bible every night. Pray every night. But anyway, just even on Sunday, me being a part of still changing my thinking. Very something so simple as I went in, very innocent. There was two chairs. There was a chair opened up, and I was not raised in a family of racism. I had all ethnics friends and girlfriends, but I wasn't. My dad didn't. He wasn't prejudiced. My mom wasn't prejudiced. Right. Never treated anybody like that. So I don't have a concept of being prejudiced.
Yeah, poor is poor.
Yeah. Ghetto's ghetto. That's what people don't understand. Ghetto mentality is not a color. It's living. It's it could be black, white, yellow, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Sunday I go to church and there's only a couple chairs sitting open. And there's a black guy on one side and a mixed guy on the other chair. So I sit down, by the guy, and that didn't matter what color they were or anything. The guy sits down, fist bump. Hey, what's up? Boom. I sit down and he touches my knee, he pats my knee. Like, kind of didn't say anything, just kind of like, I'm glad you're here. And instantly, my heart starts beating real fast. And I'm thinking, do I need to grab this guy by the throat and check him right now? Because where I come from, you don't touch a man's knee like that.
Okay.
So I'm having to talk myself through this, and it's emotional for me. And this is just Sunday. And, and I don't deal with the anger like I used to, but just something just hit me like that. And again, it was totally innocent. But Chad was speaking on, the different things we need to nail to the cross. It's just self, whatever, the legalism, whatever. And when he said that, I remember thinking, Lord, I still need to die to self more every day.
Because yourself wanted to check that.
What's that?
Yourself, the self in you wanted to check that interaction there.
So the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, do I check him? Do I pump him in the chest? Smack him? What I do is like, Lord, he didn't mean nothing by this. Right. And that is an exercise that you learn in counseling. But I recognize going through regen what the triggers are now. So of course when I saw that Chad's bringing the message and I see that, I'm like, okay, Lord. This is the enemy trying to attack me right now. So I recognized that and just squashed it. So
very good. No, that's excellent. Let's 10 to 14, you struggled with the fear of leaving your mom. What was going on in your mind at that time?
10 to 14, I was diagnosed with a thing called school phobia. In sixth grade, I remember, I would throw fits. I would cry and scream and hold on to the doorposts and even the handrails of the school and don't leave me. And so they sent me to be interviewed by a mental health doctor, and come to find out, they said it was a school phobia. What it was is
school phobia.
School phobia.
Okay,
but what it wasn't that. It was a fear of leaving my mom. I just knew if I wasn't around, my dad was going to hurt her because typically that was the beginning of the week that would happen. So it's just I didn't want to leave my mom. Not being a mama's boy. It's just I knew my mom was going to get beat by my dad once he saw her, and that's what I try to get people to understand. I was molded and shaped seeing this violence like this, seeing my mom, you know, being held down and punched or grabbed by the hair and yanked across the room or smacked open-handedly. And just, you know, my dad had these big construction hands, you know, and it's like, it just broke me. But yeah, I had a hard time, you know, going to school. And I remember they brought me aside one time, took my mom, had my mom take me down to Midwest Health. It's a mental health hospital in Kansas City. This is back when I was a kid. But anyway, yeah, she took me down there. We took a tour around the place. And, man, there was bars on the windows and people just zombied out. And I remember crying to my mom, I don't want to be here. You know, I remember going out in the parking lot. My mom just broke down. She said, baby, if you don't go to school, they're going to take you from me. She said, I need you to go to school. I need you to start going to school and don't throw a fit. And I remember saying, okay, Mom, I will, you know. But when the bell rang when it was time to get home, I was home. I didn't play. I just want to go home. You know, I wanted to check on my mom, you know. So it wasn't so much of me it wasn't a school phobia. I wasn't scared of school. I was scared of leaving my mom because I just couldn't deal with the thought of her being beat.
Yeah. Boy, that, I'm sure that took a lot of self-reflection to get there.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
Okay. This is kind of out of order, but again, I think it speaks to the things you were dealing with. At 17, you said your girlfriend got cancer and passed away.
Yeah, her name was Kathy Jones. She had heart cancer. She was like the 17th or 18th victim of it. I think she was 17. I was 16 or 17, whatever it was. But yeah, it just, she died. I remember, you know, it just rocked my world. You know, really loved her. You know, high school sweetheart. You know, really just, I just loved her, man. It was a rough thing. You know, she went to the hospital, to the doctor one day for a heart murmur. Come to find out she had fluid on her heart. And I remember the last words that I saw her at the hospital. She looking back at me while she was in the room with the doctor. She's like, please, don't let them do this to me. It hurts. And what they were doing, they were drawing the fluid off her lungs. But yeah, it was rough, man. You know, I was kind of a, you know, preppy, whatever kid, but I just started being a skinhead, you know, started fighting a lot, you know, got introduced to LSD, you know, and man, I just had a group of guys I just loved, you know, loved being with them. We were all messed up, you know, but we were a family, you know, I love those guys, you know, we were there for each other. But yeah, I think that was like one of the turning points of really going downhill.
Yeah. Well, and let's unpack that a bit because, you know, experimenting with drugs, you've got this new quasi family, right, with those guys where you're in it in a different way. You know, you've got loyalty, you know, there's security and safety in there, despite some of the violence and whatnot. You're fighting more.
Oh yeah.
What were you, I mean, you're just coming off of the situation where you lose your girlfriend, right? You're worried about your mom. I mean, like just your life up to this point has been a tornado.
Yeah.
Right. So what were you searching for in that?
Well, at 16, my dad, you know, as before Kathy passed away, my dad had gotten drunk one night and he just went to town. I remember him just, the vision is just so terrifying, you know, just got her by the hair and just punching her, you know, and it just clicked. I just got behind him, put him in a rear naked chokehold, put my claws in him, and just brought him down. You know, at the same time, my mom had hit him in the face with an old marble ashtray. I didn't see that, but all I saw was blood. So my dad's there, he passed out, I see blood. Oh my God, now I'm thinking I'm going to prison the rest of my life. I killed my dad. And then, you know, there's glass everywhere, and then, you know, my mom, I popped his ears, I shook I did everything I could to wake him up, and he just wasn't waking up. But anyway, he was passed out. And eventually he woke up. You know, my mom had told me she had hit him in the face with that ashtray. But the next day, man, I just told him, I said, Dad, if you ever put your effing hands on my effing mom again, I'm going to effing kill you. Yeah. And he never touched her again. He never ever touched her again. But he continued to be verbally abusive to her. And that's something that I had to continue to work on with him.
Mm-hmm. So I found this ironic when we met the first time. And again, I'm reflecting on the irony of it now. You've said, and we've already talked about it a bit, violence cures violence, right? This product, this example that was set for you, the way that you were raised, the atmosphere that was this chaotic, violent environment ultimately became the thing that protected your mother and
the solution,
and changed your relationship with your dad and almost the trajectory of your life, depending on how you look at it.
Right.
So you want to walk me through more of that?
Well,
what clicks? Was this like, hey, I'm man enough now to take it, or just done? Take it with your.
It's not being man enough.
Okay.
But first I'll say this. A lot of people say, Mike, I don't agree with that. Violence cures violence.
Okay.
Well, David killed Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best story you can think of in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of violence there. David, the smaller guy, killed Goliath, the giant, and it just shut everybody down.
Mm-hmm.
So peace began after that happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that clicks. I know that when that happened, when it clicked, I just knew I had to do something.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that I was man enough.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew I had to do something.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. I don't know if my dad's going to beat me up. I don't know what the deal was. I just knew that if I got him, he was not going to get loose. Mm-hmm. I knew if I put him in that rear naked chokehold, mm-hmm. once I got it set, he was not going to get out.
Yeah.
And I squeezed. I remember squeezing with everything I had.
Yeah. And for those of us who are not trained in MMA and the things that you are, what is a rear naked chokehold, and what are your claws that you talk about?
Rear naked chokehold is when you get behind somebody, you put the crevice of your forearm and your bicep on the Adam's apple, mm-hmm. and you take your hand around, you squeeze, you wrap your other hand around, grab behind the head, and you squeeze.
So you're effectively suffocating them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And putting the claws in is when you just jump up and throw your legs from behind around mm-hmm. the inside of his legs, mm-hmm. and you squeeze. And when you squeeze, you're stretching your body out. As you stretch, you're stretching your legs and your arms up.
Okay.
And it makes your air leave your body quicker.
Yeah.
Their body quicker.
And this is designed for pain. This is designed for immobilization.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not so many people can get out of that.
Right. So this is something you were trained to do.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And that's just how you approached it.
Yeah.
Okay. And during this whole time, this snap, that's when your mom hit him with an ashtray?
Oh, yeah. Man,
I'm trying to think.
Those marble ashtrays back in the 70s, you know what I'm saying? We had one, Yeah, she cracked him, man. I think it shattered, so yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm trying to think too. Like, this sounds like it happened in moments.
Oh, it was quick.
Yeah. Right. So you think this was a meditated thing or whatever. No, this is literally just.
It's more of an instinct thing mm-hmm. when something happens like that. You know, I can't explain it. I was just tired of my mom getting hit.
Yeah. Yeah. So you snapped, she snapped, and he was laying there on the floor, unresponsive for quite a while.
Yeah.
You're thinking you killed him.
Oh, yeah.
She's thinking she killed him.
No, I think she knew that he wasn't dead, and she was trying to calm me down. He's not dead, And all I saw was she hit him in the bridge of his nose with this ashtray. So there was blood everywhere. But it was a bad scene. But I was so used to, man, every week, man, my dad would those things be broken, mm-hmm. smashed, thrown. We had nice things my mom would have, and he would just break them. Mm-hmm. Just violent.
Mm. So he never laid his hands on her again.
No.
And so what was the ultimate takeaway from that? Did you go to jail? Was there ever okay?
No, they never called the police. That's my family. We kind of had that thing that we just don't get the police involved.
Okay.
So if it was bad enough, my mom would neighbors might call the police, whatever, but mm-hmm. we never called the police.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But he never touched her again.
He never touched her again.
Okay.
No.
Next thing on my notes was your mother then led you to the Lord when you were in jail at 18. How did you go to jail, and how did that whole thing transpire?
Yeah, so I lived in Northeast. We're on Independence Avenue and Hardesty we had a Pizza Hut and a McDonald's side by side. So I'd pulled up, had a girlfriend and her friend with us, and when I pulled up in the Pizza Hut parking lot, I had about 6 of my buddies that were fighting this guy over in McDonald's parking lot. And they had this kind of circle, the guy's in the middle of a circle, but nobody jumped him, So I just got out of the truck, ran over, picked up a skateboard, went through the crowd, and just boop, right in the face, knocked him down, and hit him a couple of times. That's when everybody else jumped on him. But when the police came, everybody dispersed. Everybody just ran.
Yeah.
But since I'm the one that, I was known right there in that area. I lived right around the corner from McDonald's. People knew me. Since I was the one that was ID'd, I'm the one that first initially hit the guy with I got charged with a deadly weapon on that. But yeah, I got arrested and went to jail, and I was looking at assault charges for 3 to 7 years for a deadly weapon.
So you're sitting in there. That was the first time you went to jail? Had you been in jail before then?
I think that was the first time I went to jail for something like that.
Okay. So you're sitting in there contemplating your life, and Mama walks in, and then that's the time she chooses.
I wasn't contemplating anything. I was just freaking out. You know what I mean? I got all these guys are criminals in here. You know what I'm saying? I'm just in here because I got to fight.
Right?
But, yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm in there. My dad. They came down to visit me, and my dad already had an attorney lined up for me. My mom came in and she's like, look, she said, I've been talking to you about the Lord for a long time, And before that happened, she's like, you're going to church with me on Sunday. So I'm fine, I'll go. So I'll take my mohawk and I'll just, moose it up real straight all the way back, put the holy jeans on, the holy shirt on. She's like, I don't care, you're still going to church, Yeah. But I never got anything out of it then. Yeah. But when she came down, she's like, look, she said, you need to accept Christ. She said, if not, you're gonna go down a bad road. So she led me to the Lord. Didn't know what that was like. I didn't know what that was about. I just did it. I knew that I was empty inside. I do remember as a kid though, 7, 8 years old. And we had a church, Tri-City, used to come over to talk to the little inner city kids. And I remember this guy took me aside one time, set me on the railing of our apartment building, and he kind of tapped me in the chest. He said, you have greatness in you. He said, I want you to know there's something great inside you. Don't ever forget that. And that has stuck with me all my life. But I remember that night, the day when my mom led me to the Lord, I was reminded about that with the conversation, because I always thought about that. I didn't know what that meant. But yeah, she said, she led me to the Lord. I accepted Christ, my Lord and Savior, and I ended up going to court, and I got 4 years probation on that. Got out of court, or got out of jail, and went to school, and man, I carried my Bible with me, my junior year. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I was 17 at the time, so I carried my Bible in junior year, and my girlfriend ended up being she was my high school sweetheart. She ended up being my wife later on. She didn't like the idea of it. Saying, why you get your Bible? She was born in a Christian house. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm reading my Bible.
That is fascinating to me that the road just bifurcates the way that it does. Right? You're born and raised into this environment. Well, I mean, we're half hour, 45 minutes in here, and we're just getting warmed up, and you're rotting in jail for however long, and then you get out, with probation and all this other stuff, and now you're carrying a Bible, walking through the school, and like the life is changed.
Well, here I got to be honest, Chris. I mean, rebels are going to accept Christ. Rebels are going to say, "Okay, Lord, we're going to tear our clothes or our garments. We're going to sit down, put our hand to cry, Lord, forgive us, for we've sinned." So it's obvious that, I'm going to, go to the Lord. But the truth of it is, man, I'm like Peter. I've had to ask several times, for forgiveness. Several times, Lord, forgive me. Lord, please save me again. So.
Yeah, that's again, another reason why I'm so thankful to have you here, right? Because I think the stereotypical Christian journey is, particularly from the haters, is, oh, hey, he accepted Christ, or hey, look at him carrying his Bible now. He's a goody two shoes. He's whatever, he's going to assume he's better than everybody else. And I'm not hearing that from you at all. We're actually quite the contrary, right? Still kind of.
Well, the truth of it is, you might see me carry my Bible, and there would be a lot of people in my life, even today, oh, I'm glad you're doing good. I'm happy to see you doing good. But no, really, they're waiting for me to mess up.
Yeah.
People are truly waiting for me to mess up. I went to I run a successful business. I have a contracting business I've had since 2010 and doing very well. And a lot of hard work. But I went to a funeral at a church that I used to go to. I sat down at the table, and I'm not going to throw them under the bus or anything, but I sat down at this table, and one of them was like, "Hey, how you been doing?" "I'm doing great." "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Huh.
That's surprising.
Yeah." I'm like, "Okay."
I was kind of hoping you weren't doing so good.
Right, Another guy, another pastor says, "Hey, how's your business going?" "Oh, man, it's doing really good." He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, why wouldn't it be?" But that's like the church I go to now, Abundant Life. Totally different. These pastors love you, truly, truly care about you, truly want to see people succeed, truly want to be a part of growth, truly want to be a part of people just, just growing closer to the Lord. They want to see people succeed. So it's a way different mentality.
Yeah.
But some people, they don't want to see you succeed.
Yeah. So you did a lot of changing in a very short period of time. Within your faith and faith-filled environment, met a Christian girl, got married young, and then started a family. What did that season look like?
Well, I'm going to be transparent here. When we first got married, she got pregnant before we got married. Supposed to get married in September. She got pregnant. We ended up getting married in May. Didn't want to tell her family. She did not want to keep the baby. And I remember saying to her that, look, if you do this, I'm telling everybody what you did to my baby. But, she changed her mind. Ended up keeping the baby, getting married in May. She asked me, we go to the family and you tell my family you're sorry. We asked for forgiveness. So of course I will. So I went, told her mom, told her dad, told her brother, hey, I'm sorry. She got pregnant before we got married. It hurt them. But nevertheless, I owned up to it. It is what it is. I ended up hurting my back. The first year we were married, I was off work for 2 years. Ended up going to physical therapy. And, man, I worked for a tree and lawn service that sprayed lawns. I worked for them. I walked up to 3 to 6 miles a day, and my back got better. Ended up buying that aspect of the business from my friends. And then I started my own lawn business. Ran it for 10 years. In the midst of doing that, went to work for a box company as a laborer, as a feeder on a machine. Worked my way up to an operator, and from an operator to quality assurance, quality assurance to a lead man to a supervisor. From a supervisor, I went to a superintendent. And from there, business was doing good, but they had me on, 3 to 11. I didn't see my kids. So business started doing good. So I put my 2 weeks in and started running my business full time. But during the time of me being there, I ended up having an affair, with one of the people who worked there, one of the employees. It totally crushed my wife. I don't know how. Well, I know how. Don't know why. Just stupidity, immature, whatever. But, in the eyes of man, she did end up doing something later. But in the eyes of man, the Bible tells us that the woman is the weaker vessel. And not the lesser vessel, the weaker vessel. So when they fall, when they need us, that's when we need to stand up and be that strength that they need. But we'll get to that later on. But yeah, it's just, I made a mistake, man. We worked through it. I cut it off. Ended up ended up going to work, full time in the lawn business, and very successful. And then ended up starting an asphalt business. So I had it for a couple of years and did good with them.
You at this point too were obviously going through marriage issues and whatnot, but you were still kind of very involved in your church too.
Oh yeah,
and involved with youth and leading programs and being a part of that, right?
Yeah, when I messed up, we would go to church on Sundays, not really involved. But after I messed up, I mean, I was sold out.
Dove back in
again. Lord, forgive me, Lord. Here I'm Peter. I went back to my old life. Now I'm back again. But yeah, so we ended up buying a house, and her and I got involved in the youth. We were youth leaders. Had a fantastic group of people that were other youth leaders. We were in a part of a youth ministry called the Waging War Youth Ministry in inner city, and we had 13, 14 buses a week come in on a Wednesday night from all over.
Wow.
And it was just amazing. But yeah, I was plugged in and got my head straight and doing the right thing.
And in that process, I'm trying to think. There was, you again. I'm just thinking about the vacillation between going so good, going so far good, and then turning around and going so far bad, right? And then good and bad, right? You kind of go back and forth, right? It's just the nature of humanity. And so then you're on the up and up again, and you're working with youth program. You've got a lot of things going on. Lord puts on your heart, we need to consider supporting one of these kids in a way that is atypical, right? Invited this person into your home, right? So
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about who you brought into your home and how that even transpired, and then that maybe a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, at this time, I'm heavily into martial arts at this point. Competing, classes on weekends, private lessons. Well, private lessons didn't start till later, but we're doing the tournaments and stuff, and we had about 30-something young men that didn't have fathers. So I was a father figure to these young guys, a father to the fatherless. But yeah, we'd have time to time we'd have some of the guys come in, and one of the girls. They come stay at our house, and and man, we were just there for them, But we were involved in the church, man. We was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I mean, every day.
Every day, yeah.
Every day. And I was head of the one of the leaders for the drama team. So if we were in a church, we'd have 15, 20 kids over at the house, practicing on video skits. So yeah. So we had a couple of kids that moved in with us. Man, it was awesome. I thought it was.
Sure.
Anyway, one of the girls in particular, her, not to say her name or anything, but anyway, she came in. I ended up putting her on my health insurance at my company I worked for.
So you more or less adopted this one.
Yeah, not legally.
Yeah.
But she was, I loved her.
Yeah.
For me to be able to give back and to help somebody out was it's always been healing, to give somebody, because I worked hard to get where I was at. By the grace of God, my kids' mom didn't have to work at the time, we're doing decent, but anyway, yeah, we brought this girl in, and I didn't know that she had been sexually molested by several men in her family. She'd have I don't know if she was gay. She had a guy come pick her up time to time, and he had to meet me, and I was digging it, man. I thought, man, this is awesome. But she was gay. She was bi, and her and my wife at the time, formed an unhealthy relationship. And that emotional relationship turned into a physical relationship. I found out the day after our 10th anniversary, our 10th year anniversary. Back then, a buddy of mine showed me how to tap. We had landlines and pagers. Not cell phone. You know?
Pagers, man, back in the
I
day.
was doing it back then, man. But yeah, a buddy of mine, he showed me how to tap my phone. And it was a Friday night. We had just gone out the night before for our 10th anniversary. Rented a limo. You know, she didn't want to go by herself. You know, had to take the kids with us, and she was just, I don't know, it was really weird. But I knew that something was going on, but I just couldn't pinpoint anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just couldn't put my finger. I just knew something was wrong. Because
Mm-hmm.
the girl, I wake up, the girl be sleeping next to our bed. You know, I was like, "What's going on?" And oh, she's having nightmares. I'm like, "Oh, that's. I'm sorry for that." You know.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, you know, that was come to find out, it was been going on. They had an affair for a year and a half under my nose. I had no idea why she lived there.
Mm.
But anyway, I tapped the phones, woke up that morning. It was a Saturday, set everything, got my kids. Well, I left my daughter there, took my son, took him to karate class, dropped him off, came back to want to check the phones because she was up early and she was getting ready, which is out of her character on a Saturday like this. So I run back home real quick, and it's a 20-minute drive, you know, get back, the tape is full. And man, the first thing I heard, man, it was just crushing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Was she, not going to say what it was, but she was saying how she missed the girl and everything. And I remember just blowing up, like, I knew you were doing this, and, you know, we're gonna take care of this. I'm gonna go get Dave. I'll be back. When I get back, she's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Took the Jeep, took my daughter, she's gone. Well, she had gone and picked up the girl, and she ended up spending the weekend with her. Didn't know who to call, you know, called her mom. You know, her mom freaked out about it. Her sister showed up. And, you know, it was, man, it just crushed me. You know, I didn't know how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Chris, as a man, your wife has an affair, you deal with another man.
Mm-hmm.
You just do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
When it's a female and you're a protector, you don't put your hands on women.
Yeah. Can't hurt her. Can't.
You don't.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I questioned God. You know, my words were verbatim. How can you do this to me?
Mm-hmm.
I am a youth leader. I have these young kids that I speak into their life. I am this. I am that. You know, and it's like, it was all God's fault, of course, at the time. You know, I was an idiot, you know, immature. But yeah, you know, I blame the Lord. You know, I remember going to the pastor at the time and say, you know, Pastor David, this is what's going on. And man, the words out of his mouth to me was, "Oh, your wife's too pretty. She wouldn't do that." That's all you got to say about this. Yeah. She's too pretty. What?
Yeah, that's.
But
not,
yeah, I wasn't smiling, man. But anyway, so I ended up, you know, leaving the church because I had gone to him before and said, "Hey, look, man, this was just taunting me." You know, we took her to karate tournaments. She'd watch me and my son compete. My son fought martial arts too. And we walked to the church and she like tried to punk me, like, "What you gonna do?" Like flinched at me. So I remember, you know, going to the pastor, "Hey man, you got to get her out of here." It's like, "Oh man, no, we can't do that. She needs to be here." Like, dude, she's tearing this family up. So I ended up, you know, stepping out of the church. You know, stopped going, and man, my life just started unraveling, man. I mean, unraveling.
Yeah, I mean, you were untethered at that point.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you're not tied to your faith family. You're not tied to the small group. No mentorship and leadership. Obviously, that's letting you down too.
None.
Kind of blaming God over the process, and obviously that's a unhealthy and unnecessary blame. But,
Unnecessary.
Right.
It's not God's fault.
Right.
It's, you know, just like, you know, and again, going through counseling, you know, with what I endured growing up as a kid, one thing I learned that God was with me that whole time, right next to me. But he has given us all a free will. My dad a free will not to do that. God cannot step in. You know, we live in a fallen world. We live in a world of sin, but of free choices. And that's the sovereignty, that's the love of the God that we serve, that he gives you that choice to make. You can either serve me, live for me, or live for yourself. It's up to you. Sin looks good, feels good, tastes good. And if it was easy for people not to be a Christian, or if it was easy for people to be Christian, everybody would be a Christian. but not everybody can do that. You know, it takes a lot of self-control. But I've learned that my dad had the choice not to be the man he was, not to drink, not to be violent to my mom. But my mom also had the choice not to stay, not to make your kids go through this, not to let them see what their dad's doing to them. And even through Regen, you know, the program I went through, I remember a few months into it, calling my mom and my sister over to my mom's house. Hey, I got to talk to you guys. They show up. You know, I got an older brother, but he doesn't, you know, he's very disconnected. You know, he doesn't talk to anybody. So they come over and I say, no, Mom, I've had to forgive you. It's like, forgive me for what? What'd I do? Because she always beats herself up, like, you know, I wasn't a good mom, you know, but it's not, my mom did what she could do. She did the best she could do. You know, my dad did the best he could do. Because my dad, as a kid, my dad was chained butt naked to a post on a porch as punishment. You know, beat by my grandpa. My grandpa was a very mean person. You know, but I had to tell my mom, hey, Mom, I had to forgive you. She said, forgive me for what? I said, Mom, you made us. You made us watch Dad do that to you. So how did I make you do that? Because you stayed. You had the opportunity to leave and you didn't. And we had to endure this. So, and I didn't hold that against her, but I felt like I just needed to let her know that. You know, like I told her, it's like, you guys thought that I was just a mean person. You know, I enjoyed hurting people. I don't. You know, this is just a product of my environment. But, so yeah, anyway, I ended up leaving the church. Man, my life began to spiral way out of control.
And that is when you were introduced to meth.
Yes.
So how did you get introduced to that at that age? And again, I'm just keep reflecting, right?
Well, now see, you have to understand. Now, I'm in my 20s now. You know, we're married, got kids. We're in my 20s. You know, we'd been married for a few years. You know, this. I found out about the affair. Our 10th anniversary, so it'll be 2000, right at 2000. Talked to the pastor, left the church. A cousin of mine came to me and said, hey, cuz, he said, we got the CD release. He said, I wonder if you'll be the head of security. Said, yeah, right on, I'll do it.
So what is a CD release and head of security? Like
he was in a group and they had a new CD that was being released. You know, Shane Wayne Off the Wall. You know, I mean, it was amazing. It's just fantastic group of guys. We all went to school together. You know, these guys just worked hard to get where they were at. You know, and my cousin asked me to be, you know, he'd be head of security for me. I said, yeah, no problem, man. It was awesome. But when I was there, I remember somebody in my family, not to put them throw under the bus, came to me and asked me, hey, you ever done meth before? I'm like, I don't know what that is. I didn't do any drugs. You know, I was a square. I said, I don't know what that is. She said, well, you're an entrepreneur. She said, you make a lot of money with it. I'm like, oh, really? What you mean? What you mean I make some money with it? But she said, well, just think about it. I said, well, tell me about it later, you know. So I leave, and at that time right there, you know, my kid's mom and I, we were going through a separation. I just found out about the affair and everything, and I meet a girl that night, you know, beautiful girl, you know, just ended up hitting it off real good, and ended up getting involved with her and helped me take my mind off what was going on with my wife. You know, she was, you know, at the time, I kept hearing the Holy Spirit telling me, man, don't give up, Mike. Just keep going. Just keep pressing in. But after the third, sixth time, man, her sneaking out at night, you know, going to be with this girl, it crushed me. You know, Chris, I couldn't see past her, man. You know, and I've told my kids, even here recently, they're in their 30s, you know, I told them, hey guys, I told my daughter, you know, we had some lunch a few weeks ago, like, baby, I just, when it happened, I just couldn't find myself back. I didn't know how to make my way back, you know. I let you guys down, I could not make my way back.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard. And not until recently, I'm at a place now where, I'm healthy.
Mm-hmm.
This is years later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just, got introduced to meth.
So got introduced to meth in the initial process of just potentially dealing it, right?
At first, somebody brought it to me. A family member brought it to me. Says, "Hey, why don't you try this?
Okay.
It'll take your mind off what's going on." So it was depressed.
Okay.
I was so depressed.
Yeah.
Angry, wanting to fight outside of competition now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just every chance I got, I wanted to fight. And they said, "Try this. It'll take your mind off of it." I'm like, man, I didn't want my teeth. I saw these people with bad teeth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't want my teeth messed up.
Yeah.
So I snorted it, and man, I remember grabbing both pair of my nunchucks, man, going outside thinking I'm Super Bruce Lee.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that night. I remember thinking, this is not going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted it more
mm-hmm.
and more. But when I was high, I didn't think about my problems.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care about her being with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I literally, we talk about it. It didn't bother me.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of the devil's bargain, isn't it? Hey, here's something that can take your mind off of it, right? You get the thing that you wished for, and then you actually get the consequences of the thing that you wished for. You had your mind taken off of it, sure, but the dark side and the downside of it wasn't worth the
no. If I can only go back, and I'm sure that's one of the things we all think about.
Mm-hmm.
You can only go back,
mm-hmm.
And just say no.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't.
Yeah. Well, and that's just reflecting on the early part and where we'll wind up in this conversation is either you reflect on who you were, that's not who you are now. And you kind of, you accept the forgiveness that Christ offers, but that doesn't mean it's easy to accept the grace you can give yourself at that point, right? I mean, you still deal with shame, you still deal with these other things, and I don't know, that's the human condition.
Yeah, even here recently, I'm not ashamed anymore. I'm able to sit and, even, going out, we'll get into going to prison or whatever, but getting out of that and being a chaplain's assistant at Jackson County Jail for 6 years, coming out of prison, I shared my testimony several times.
Yeah.
I've shared it, several times.
Yeah.
But I still had a sense of guilt. If I'm talking to a criminal, I don't feel guilty.
Right.
You guys know what I'm talking about. You guys understand. You guys been there. You know what you know the feelings.
Yeah.
But when you're talking to somebody who doesn't know you, like when someone sees me now, they probably think I'm just an old country boy.
Mm-hmm. I'm still trying to picture you with a mohawk.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I was a lot smaller back then. I'm 215 right now. That's a long time ago. I might be a little meaner looking with the mohawk now. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you wound up dealing and collecting and street life, right?
Yeah. So I got introduced to the drug life. Man, I started selling it, and when I say my life began to spiral, it spiraled. Mm-hmm. But I want to say this though, me being the head of security at my cousin's CD release has nothing to do with my life choices.
Right.
It was just, just another step in my life, period. But yeah, just, man, I got introduced to that, the next thing I know, someone said, hey, they knew what I was capable of doing. Mm-hmm. And it starts, I had a couple people, search me out. Hey, are you interested in making some quick money? Yeah. Hey, what do I have to do? Mm-hmm. Just go pick this up for me. Yeah, and it was easy, a lot of money, mm-hmm. easy money. And it got to the point where I was like, man, I enjoyed it, mm-hmm. And then, I mean, it was bad. We had a guy that showed up at our house at middle of the night, like, by this time, my kids' mom had moved out. My brother's out of prison. I don't know how many times he's been now. Now he's out of prison. He just got to doing 16 years. So he was, just came out of the Aryan Brotherhood. You know, so he was rough.
Mm-hmm.
He was rough. You know, he had a thing of wanting to get drunk and chasing the high all the time, but I wanted him in my house with me.
Mm-hmm.
And he was good with my kids. You know, he never did anything bad around them. You know, he would drink, but he wouldn't,
Didn't get crazy.
No, never, not around my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Loved his niece and nephew, loved Allie and David.
Mm-hmm.
But we had the girl that my wife at the time was seeing, she started vandalizing my house. I mean, she'd break the windows out of my car. She'd show up and break the windows out of my house. And one night, my brother was out left, and, you know, she showed up to call all the guys, and, you know, they started breaking windows. He came out with a BB gun. You know, they all ran. They found it was a BB gun. They came back, and they really destroyed my house.
Oh, wow.
You know. So I started carrying. You know, I had a gun at the time. And I remember one night I had bought her a Jeep, and I just figured, well, you know, you don't get to keep it. You know, you did this. You know, she had a place to live, and it wasn't the best place to live, but she could always come back home. All she had to do was just quit the relationship she had with the girl, but she never would come back. So, but that's something that was always held over my head, you know. Or if I'd go to show up and whatever, you're a drug dealer, you're this, you know, I'm bringing money. It's dirty money, but it's money. But I'm trying to take care of my kids. But we had one night that we had a guy come in I had a van, a cargo van that we had all my tools in for doing construction work, and had the Jeep there, her Jeep, and we saw this guy. My brother's like, I had a pit bull. Pit bull was barking. We look outside, and I see this guy sneaking down the side of my van. So my brother's asleep. Kids weren't there. They happened to be with their mom that night. And I remember going outside. I grabbed the pistol. But I had a BB gun that looked just like the pistol, the 9mm. So I told EJ, hey, someone's outside. Let's go get him. So I thought they were going to steal my van. I didn't know he was a repo man. So we go outside, kick the door open, pow, pow, and load a couple of them on the ground. I had these two pistols in my hand. He raises up, and I just pistol whipped him. You know, and he's yelling at people down the street, call the cops. I'm like, yeah, I'll call the cops. He's trying to steal my truck. The cops show up, and my brother, before they got there, my brother came out, got the 9mm, took it inside and got rid of it. You know, they show up, and I had this BB pistol gun, you know. Anyway, cops show up like, what happened to him? Like, yeah, it was bad though. You know, I won't laugh about that. It was bad what I did to him, and he was beat up pretty bad. And cops took him to jail. You know, took the pistol from me. You know, and I told him what it was. You tried to steal my truck. Well, I ended up going to court over that later on, and he was a repo man. And, you know, he went inside, and, you know, I'm going to plead my case. And I remember the judge was like, are you guilty or innocent? I'm like, man, I'm not guilty. I'm not innocent either. He said, we'll talk to you at the end. And the guy was there. But when the guy walked in, Chris, his face had scars. It was bad. And I remember it made me emotional because of what I had done to him. And we get up front, you know, and they call us up, and, you know, I tell them, you know, what happened? Hey, man, this guy's, I took a stack of police reports that we had from this girl vandalizing my house, and it was like 7 or 8 police reports, you know, vandalizing my house, breaking the windows out. I said, Judge, I got these. This is what's been going on. I said, no, he was next to I thought he was still on my truck. I thought he was part of this girl's life, whatever. He said, no, he's a repo man. I said, he not one time did he ever say he was a repo man. Not until the police got there. And I remember the judge asked him, he said, what's your deductible on your insurance? He says, $500. He said, Mr. Berry, pay the $500. He said, and you'll be free to go. So I paid the $500. I was free to go. But again, that's the violence that kept following. You know, and to me, it's just another check on the chalkboard. So,
you got deeper into the street life with the violence, and it just kept spiraling, right? And if you're comfortable, can we talk about your street name and that culture? And I don't want to know your name, but the environment that was, and the depth of the separation from reality that you were in.
Yeah, I won't bring up the name.
Okay.
For obvious reasons.
Well, sure, but I think again, you had to educate me. I think our listeners would appreciate the knowledge or the insight into the culture and the community of it.
Yeah.
Just because if we don't have that,
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't think it makes sense to talk about, honestly.
No, you're good. Yeah. Well, there was 3 groups of people that I was involved with. There was some out of Northeast, some out of Independence, and another group was they were clubs. I'll put it like that. But it got to the point to where, the first guy, I started getting into really collecting. He put the word out, hey, so I told him, hey, we got to meet this guy, Michael Berry, man. This guy, he can, he do some stuff for you. So I remember he came pick me up. I was out south, and we were in a Corvette, and I always carried a knife with me. I won't say the nickname. I mean, it's just I'm afraid to say it, and I don't want to. Anyway, I just want to say it. But anyway, so he picks me up. We go down there. We're going down 71 South or 71 North, passing up Truman Corners, and we're in this little vet. And I remember him looking over at me, and he kind of had a smirk on his face. He said, "Michael Berry." I said, "Yeah." He said, "And blank, my nickname." He said, he started laughing. "What's that?" And man, it just happened so quick. I pulled my knife out and I stabbed him in his leg. And I remember looking over at him, and we're like face to face. He's driving, he's freaking out, and I'm like, "Bro, you don't laugh at my name." And like a weirdo, like a dum-dum, he's like, man, he just fell in love with me. I don't know why. He just wanted somebody that was going to be, that was going to protect him and who was going to get the money that was owed to him. So, man, he would pay me decent money to go with him down to the boat, and I would be at the top and just keep an eye on him. He'd win money. He would win money, but he had people after him. And I'd walk him from there to his car, sometimes ride with him. And, man, it just got to the point to where the money was easy, But then we had somebody who was, printing counterfeit money. I got into counterfeit, dealing with that, dealing with stolen cars, stolen jewelry. I mean, you name it. I was involved with it. It got deeper and deeper.
Yeah. And again, this is a grown-up version of the club that you were talking about in high school, right?
Yeah, a group of guys,
Yeah, group of guys got together, right? Love those guys. There's the camaraderie, everything there, right? And so that street name and that integrity in the culture, it meant something. This is who you are. You don't mess with that, right? There's trust in the bond. Loyalty
is big.
Yeah, particularly in those groups.
Absolutely.
It's just not easy to find, right? Because you can't trust everybody there. So,
well, I say loyalty is huge, but loyalty is only huge with a few people,
right?
Because when I was locked up, man, there was a 47-man indictment that came out after I was locked up, and some of the guys was on, they were like snitching on each other, and I just could not wrap my mind around that. Like, man, you guys, I knew you on the streets, like, man, you guys are talking, I couldn't do it. I couldn't understand it.
Right. So you, on the cred of your street name and the guy who drove the car, he asked you to do something.
Yeah.
And you did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you traded for a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Right. So instead of money at this point, collect money, whatever, you did the thing. And then, just walk me through the process there, because you're going to do a whole lot better than I'm butchering.
Yeah. So I had several vehicles. Typically I was one of the driving a new vehicle anyway. They weren't mine. I acted like they were mine. They were stolen, carjacked or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had this Toyota I was driving, very nice car, and or SUV. And this guy says to me, "Man, that's a nice vehicle. I like that." I said, "You want it?" He said, "You seriously?" "Yeah, you can have it." He said, "I can have it?" I said, "Yep. You got to give me a bike." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Give me a Harley Davidson." He said, "Done." I said, "If you don't give me a bike, I'm going to come collect." You know what I mean by that? He said, "No problem, man. I'll take care of it." A couple weeks go by, And he calls me up. It was one night. He calls me up. He says, "Hey, I got your bike. It's at Harris." I was like, "Right on. I got the trailer behind me. I'll come pick it up." He said, "You don't need to trailer it. You can ride it." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." I said my nickname. My nickname was like a term people would use, like, "I skinned this," like, like, "I'm for real," or whatever. So if I said a nickname, he'd be like, "Yeah, man, no, really, it's here." So I went down and I pull up, and man, this bike was like off of Orange County Choppers. I mean, it was, laid out, 4-inch open primary. I mean, it was a bad bike. So I pulled up, and I remember it was chilly outside. I had a sleeveless shirt on, and when you're riding, it's even colder. So I get on this bike. He's like, "There it is right there." I was like, "Right on, man." He said, "Go ahead and take off." Man, this guy, he'd had a hidden switch to start it. I couldn't start it. I'm like, "How you start it?" So he had to walk over and show me how to start this bike. He had a hidden switch on it, so I started. I'm riding around the park, and they said, "Get out of here." I'm like, "Okay, whatever, my bike." So I take off, and then word gets out that it was stolen. And I didn't know it was stolen. Had I known it was stolen, I wouldn't have taken it. Motorcycles is one thing that we just didn't. Harleys that we didn't mess with. People with Harley Davidsons. Crotch rockets, man, we get those a dime a dozen. I had a couple. They were fun, but Harleys, we didn't take somebody's Harley. Now there was clubs that took people's Harleys. They don't take theirs, but they take yours. But anyway, yeah. So I took the bike, and word got out, and then I find out it belonged to somebody. So this person had reached out. Actually, he reached out to the girl my wife at the time was seeing, and told her, "Hey, I know that Laura's husband, she knows Mike, she knows how to get a hold of Mike, call her, tell her, have Mike just give me the bike back, and we'll forget about the whole thing."
Yeah.
Well, it was July.
And you were good with that.
I was good with that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know about this until after the fact.
Okay.
But this is July 12th, 2004, my birthday. So she doesn't call. I didn't know anything about it. And I get the phone call, "Hey, I want to see my kids that night." And she's like playing games, won't answer the phone. So I go to my buddy's house, and I've already been and put the word out a few times. "Hey, man, I need to find out where this bike goes. It belongs to somebody." So anyway, I go to my buddy's house, and I have a 9mm in the front of my pants. I have one in the back. I lay back on this bed in the back room, end up dozing off. I get woke up to 6 guys. Pull my clothes off of me, zip tied my feet, handcuffed behind my back, and they beat the crap out of me.
Right there in that back room.
Oh, yeah, kidnapped me. Yeah, and they beat me for several hours afterwards. I remember them having me in a van and just beating the crap out of me. It was just, it was hellacious. So took me for a ride, beat me some more. Want me to tell them where the bike was. So I'll take it where it's at. Because once I took them there, I knew that the people that the place where it was at, they would kill him. I knew that these guys would kill him if they knew that I was in this van and what they'd done to me. So we get there, and for whatever reason, all the guys who rode were at this house. They didn't want to stop. They were scared to go to this house because of all the guys who were there. So it took me to a place out off of Pink Hill Road. It was a field, and they had beat the bottom of my feet, so I couldn't run. They had pistol whipped me. They had beat me with baseball bats. And I remember being in the van while they were beating me in the chest, and I was curled up with my feet toward the door, my head toward the side door, my stomach facing the front of the van. I remember the driver had this pistol, and he kept like beat me in the chest. And I was like, "Man, stop hitting me in the chest." And he started beating me in the head. Like, "No, hit me in the chest." I'm saying? It was weird. I'm like, "Dude, stop beat me here," because it was hurting.
Yeah.
And by the time I'm covered in blood. I remember one of the guys, he took my pistol, and he took his mask off. He stuck my gun in my mouth. And I remember the barrel being so big, I'm thinking, "Man, he's going to break my teeth." All I can think about is he's going to break my teeth. But I remember cocking the gun back. But Chris, not one time that I ever begged for my life. You know, and I remember they go to this house. I tell them where it's at. They go to this house. They don't want to go in. They take me up Pink Hill Road. They start dragging me through. The two guys drag me through this field. And as they're dragging me through the field, one of them says to the other, "How are we going to kill him?" He says, "We're going to hang him. And we're going to cut his head off." And I remember hearing this voice, like an audible voice. It says, "You're getting ready to die and you're going to hell." And I remember them dropping me. When they dropped me, I felt the stalk of the corn hit me in the face and passing out. And to me, it seemed like eternity. They left me out there in this field. I don't know. And then a while later, they came back and picked me up again, drugged me, took me over to this shed. Well, outside this shed was a big tree. Inside this shed, a big garage. Inside this garage was all this woodworking tools. So I thought, yep, they're going to hang me. They are going to cut my head off. But I wasn't thinking about my salvation. I didn't think about the voice anymore. I started thinking about my son. I started thinking about my daughter. How I turned my back on them. How I couldn't see past their mom. How I let them down. Then I started seeing these faces of the men that I had hurt. The people I had done the damage to. This guy 2 weeks before, had him on a bed. A bunch of people in the room just beating the crap out of him. And I'm thinking about all these guys. It's just weird. But I didn't think about my salvation again. I didn't think about the voice. And then these guys came in. The head of the guys came in. I ended up meeting him. His name was Robbie. I met him later on. And he came in. He told me, he says, "Hey, we got the wrong guy. We know you didn't steal the bike." He said, "But I want my bike back." I remember asking him, "Give my guns back." He's like, "You'll get your guns back when I get the bike back." I said, "Well, I need something to go take care of this person." He said, "You'll get the guns back when the bike's returned." So they wrapped me up in a blanket, a piece of carpet or something. I don't know what it was. Took me in this, put me in the back of a van, went down off Pink Hill Road again, farther down. I remember this new house that was being built, and they kicked me off the back on this bunch of gravel and just took off. Before they dropped me off, they asked me for my family's number. So I gave them my sister's phone number. They told them where I was at. They came out on this the road. They had passed up a couple times. I couldn't walk hardly. My feet were tore up. I was bleeding. I couldn't hardly breathe. I couldn't hardly move. My ribs were cracked. So finally, about the third or fourth time driving by, I wobble out there and they get me in the van. My dad was driving. My mom's in the passenger seat. My sister, Dawn, was in the back seat, got me in. And my dad's like, "What do you want me to do?" And my mom's screaming, "Take me to the hospital." I'm like, "No, I do not want to go to the hospital." My sister's like, "No, do not get the police involved. Let him tell you what to do." I said, "Take me to the house. Let me get some shoes. Give me some keys. I need to take care of this." And man, my family just freaked out on me. My dad, "I can't believe, whatever." Granted, when I was 16, put my hands on my dad. A couple years later, my dad accepted Christ. Stopped drinking. Accepted Christ. Read his Bible every day. Became a loving dad. The loving as he knew how to be. But anyway, so they put me in the van, and we go to my sister's house, and I stayed there for a couple of weeks, and I remember sleeping for, it seemed like forever, never got any medical attention. A couple weeks later, a guy shows up, a friend of my sister shows up. I knew who he was. He shows up, and he's like, I know who had something to do with this kidnapping. Do you want to get him? I said, "Absolutely, let's go." I remember when I left, my family's, they're yelling, screaming, chaos in the house. "I thought you were done. I can't believe, I just could not let this stand. you know. And I didn't know, and at the time, even though being there at my sister's house for 2 weeks, we never told my ex-wife, my wife at the time, and my kids I was alive. We didn't tell anybody. They just kept me hidden out. Not because we didn't want them to know, but we don't know who did this yet. We don't know what was going on. We don't know what was happening. We don't know if they were in danger. I didn't know what was going on. So we kept it a secret. So this guy shows up. He takes me. We go to this house over in South Kansas City. We go in, and this room had about 10 or 12 chairs in a circle. We go in, we sit down, and they light up a bowl, and then all these people started coming in. They light up a bowl of meth, you know, and they start smoking it, come around, pass me, I'm done, I'm good. Go around again, I'm good. He gets this girl on the phone. She's like, yeah, I had something to do with my nickname, his kidnapping. I had him go do that. I was like, okay, give me the bowl. The third time around, I took a hit. All my pain left. I get up, stood up. I threw a stupid thing. I stood up, man, did the jump and spin kick. You know what I'm saying? I just go get him. I'm ready to go now, you know?
Yeah.
But I jumped up, and I did this jump and spin kick. I was like, man, I'm feeling good. Let's go kick in some doors. And that's exactly what we did. We started kicking in doors. He took me around, and I met a couple of people, and then the word got out. Robbie had put the word out, hey, I want to meet Michael. He's the one that owned the motorcycle. So he calls me up, gets my number, I think from the girl Lena that my wife was seeing at the time, and he gets my number from her, and he calls me up, and he's like, hey, I heard you want to meet me. I'm like, absolutely I do. He's like, all right, meet me at this place here. Don't bring a strap with you. Don't bring a gun with you. I was like, that's fine. So I show up, and he had like 3 or 4 guys, you know, in the parking lot. I don't know, man. They were all strapped down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I see him, I meet him, you know, and I wasn't strapped or anything. So we sit down, I get in his car, I talk to him, and I just told him, hey, man, I'm not mad at you. You know, Robbie, we just don't steal people's motorcycles, man. That's just not our thing. I said, but the difference between you and I is you had 6 guys that came in and got me. I would have never done that with other people. I'd have done it by myself. Later on, we ended up becoming friends, and Robbie had met my second wife after the divorce. And he told her, he said, look, he said, my loyalty rolls with Michael. He said, when he had a chance to kill me, he let me live. He said, I'm loyal to him. But Robbie and I, you know, we ended up kicking it off, you know. We spent a lot of time together. And, you know, I remember being at his house one time, and we're sitting at the table, and I believe it was Green Valley. And Buddy just came in. It was the guy that took his mask off in the van. I never forgot his face. I didn't say anything at the time. He come in, sits down, and I got this crap-eating grin on me. He picks up a bowl, sort of lights it, and hands it over to me. I said, I'm good. I remember looking at him, man. I was like, I forgive you. He's like, what? He's like, I forgive you. He said, for what? I said, you're the guy who took the mask off in the truck, in the van, and put my pistol in my mouth. And I remember the look on his face, man.
White as a ghost.
Oh, white. Ears laid down, tail between his legs. I mean, you just saw the fear, you know, come over. And I remember him telling Robbie, hey, man, I don't like this guy. Robbie's like, hey, man, it is what it is. You know, Mike's good. We ain't got to worry about it. But, you know, apart from him, you know, Robbie and I spent a lot of time together. And then Robbie and I started going door to door. We get information. We go to a house. We find out where it was at. So one weekend, we go out, and we got some information on the house we went to. Knocked on the door. Some girl answered the door, and it's kind of weird. You know, she's like, oh, you're my cousin, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't know you. Get the blank out of my face, you know. But she opened the door up, and Danny was there. Danny is the guy that set me up with this bike. I say, Danny, where's the bike at? He said, I don't know. Well, they ended up getting the bike. The bike was returned, but all the parts. Where are the parts at for the bike? He said, I don't know. I said, where they at, Danny? He said, I don't know. I remember he asked me, he said, hey, man, you want to take my strap with you down there? I said, I'm good. I got one. So I remember we were sitting there talking. This big old dude comes to the door of the back bedroom. He's like, "What's going on in here?" And I remember just lifting my shirt up, like, "You don't want none of this." He's like, "Hey man, it's not my beef." I said, "Just kick rocks. Just go on back." So he left, and Danny stood up. He walked to me, and I remember I reached inside. Man, I hit him so hard, and I split his lip, top to bottom, the bottom one. And he's walking around like, bleeding all over the place. And I remember him looking for something to grab. I was like, "Grab it, Danny." I was taunting him, "Grab it, grab something big. Come and hit me with it. Come on, Danny, get it, Danny." But he just stood over with his track can and bled. And I remember telling him, "I'm coming back in 3 days, Danny. I want the parts." And my words to him was this: "When I come back, I'm reaching my hand up your tail end. I'm dragging something out of it. It better be bike parts." And we left. I remember getting in the car. Rob was like, "Man, I just can't believe you hit that dude." I said, "Why wouldn't I hit him?" He said, "Man, somebody else said, I'll get you some other time." I said, "Why would I get him some other time? He's in front of me." So we left. Time went on. We partied, did our dealing, whatever. A couple weeks go by. Going down the street, I see this cat on a bike. We pull up to him. I said, "Hey, so-and-so." I don't know the guy's name. I just remember telling him, "Hey, man, get off the bike and kick rocks." He's like, "Hey, man," because it belonged to somebody, had something to do with the kidnapping. He said, "Man, if you take me to him," he said, "I'll take you to him." I said, "You're going to take me to the guy who owns his bike?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "If you take off, I'm going to shoot you." And I said, "My nickname. That's my word." He said, "No problem, man." So we take off, and he tries to, we were in a fast car. He tries to outrun us, and we pull up next to him. I shot him. And I remember when it happened, everything was slow motion. Everything was quiet. But Chris, again, what I'm going to say is when I share my story, I'm not glorifying Satan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not glorifying the dark things of my life. But I'm truly trying to paint a picture of how ugly and how dark it can get.
Mm-hmm.
But with the grace of God, He can paint a better picture for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, yeah, that happens. And then, he didn't die. This thing just kept going crazy. A couple weeks later, somebody called me up. They said, "Hey, man, I got this guy that's going to be turning state's evidence." He said, "I need somebody to take care of him." I was like, "All right, 20 grand. No problem." So I go to his house, take off all my jewelry, take my wallet out, give it to him. I pick up another pistol. I got 2 pistols. I got 4 boxes of shells. I got a shoulder hose. I got a bag of ammunition, a sock of 91 rounds of ammunition in it. I had soaked in alcohol so that, couldn't get fingerprints off of it. And I went out there. He gave me I had 16 ounces of meth in one pocket. I had filters in another pocket that hadn't been popped yet. And what that means is when you cook meth, you use coffee filters.
Mm-hmm.
And as everything goes through the coffee filters, when it's all cooked and it's all done, you take those coffee filters, you cut them up into small pieces, and you can either suck on them for a while or put them in a soda, put them in a coffee, tea, whatever. And it's a very strong meth, get the effects. So anyway, I call a buddy of mine up, say, "Hey, man, I'm headed out. Bro, I need you to be a watchdog for me tonight." He says, "How far away are you?" I said, "About 45 minutes. Don't fall asleep." So by the time I get there, he falls asleep. But when I'm going down this road by his house, I'm out in a country road, I remember, thinking to myself, "Man, I'm getting ready to shoot this dude. I just did this, 2 weeks ago."
Mm-hmm.
I remember crying. I was high, Chris. I was like, "Lord, I'm not strong enough to stop myself. You don't stop me, I'm going to take this person's life." And no sooner did I got those words out of my mouth, than there's like 2 headlights just appeared, coming down the road in front of me. It was a cop. He got behind me, pulled me over, and he pulled me over. I pulled it to my buddy's house, but I left myself enough room if I had to if I had to run, I can, make a U-turn, take off.
Mm-hmm.
He comes up and, man, I get out of the truck. I got a 9mm in my front of my pants, a big old knot sticking out. And this guy didn't see it or anything. He just not, I don't know what the deal was. But I remember him asking me all these, what's your name? Where you from? All this. I'm giving him all these fictitious names and everything. So he runs and he looks at me. He's standing back at his car, and I'm at the door of my truck. And he says, hey, man, you gave me this fictitious name. I'm going to take you in. These plates on this truck come back stolen. So I remember jumping in the truck, hitting the lock button, waving at him, and it was on. And I was in Belton. I went from Belton down to Peculiar, Harrisonville, back to...
So let me come back there then. So you had just prayed that you can't do this. The answer to your prayer was immediate.
Yeah, you're lying.
You did not like the answer to your prayer.
Well, I didn't give it a chance to think about if I liked it or not. I didn't know it happened. You know what I mean? I thought God would reach his hand down and give me a hug, a kiss, a smack, or something. But he gave me a smack, all right.
He sure did, and you didn't. So off you go.
Off I go, man.
And so that again, you were in Green Valley. You said so. You
I was at the house that my buddy when I met him. He was in Green Valley. Whenever I was spoken to Matt.
Okay.
When I got the phone calls in South Kansas City, and then I was headed out I was in Belton when I got pulled over by the police.
Okay, so you're just driving all over the place, making it, just running basically, just running.
So, it was so bad at one time, man. My sister, bless her heart, that was my ride or die. I mean, there were times, man, we were just so caught. I was so caught up in stuff. I tell her, pop the trunk, back up. I'm gonna jump in. Take me over to so-and-so.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Mm. Okay. So you got caught, right? I mean,
yeah. So, I get in this police chase and they ended up catching me over in Raytown. I'm throwing ammunition out of the truck. I'm throwing drugs out of the truck. I didn't get caught with any drugs. I threw all the drugs out, threw everything, all the ammunition out. But I forgot about one of the pistols I left in the truck, and in the midst of getting out, I left my pager, and the pager went back to the house I was at, the house I was going to. But anyway, it was something else, man. So
and so in the capture, you go in, they find the gun, and then you're then a armed and dangerous person, right? And then that leads to some pretty colorful conversations with some detectives and whatnot in your interrogation, right?
Yeah. I mean, they came to me about some crazy stuff, but they arrested me, took me to jail. When you're in a police chase like that, you typically have to go back to every city you go through, and you got to stand before the judge, and you got to be charged with the laws you broke in that city, Raytown. Raytown, Kansas City.
Like you said, Belton,
Harrisonville, all of them, So anyway, they had me out in the Belton jail, and I remember the detectives come to me. He said, I got good news, I got bad news. The good news is you're safe. Bad news is there's a contract out on you. He said, it's from such and such, and this group of people. What was
it related to?
I don't know.
Okay, so it wasn't related to the bike story or anything like that.
No,
this was just another.
I to this day, I don't know. I had done so much dirt, Chris. And I had done so many favors for different people. There was no telling. But the name, like I said, the nickname was out there. So, but he said, I'm with the detectives. I got good news and bad news. The good news is you're safe. You're in here, which was funny to me,
right?
But as the worst place I could be. But the bad news is you got a contract out in your life. I was like, he threw out a couple names. I don't know who that is, whatever, blah blah blah. And I remember going back to the pod. I'm calling my sister, say you need to call so and so. At the time, I had quite a bit of money at the time. I called my sister, hey, let's go get some, pick this up and come get me out. I thought, well, I don't know, maybe I started thinking if I'm here, I get credit for time served. So I called and said, no, I'm not worried about it. It's a small jail. Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I go through to court there, and they ended up taking me to another couple places. Then I ended up out in the Cass County Sheriff's Department. 17-hour day lockdowns, no television. I was in there for about 6 months.
That's a rapid change from the lifestyle you were living. Pretty abrupt.
Yeah, I remember, that when I went out to Cass County, I walked in. It's a big jail. The pods are bigger. But I remember walking in and laying my head down and thinking, I can't say how did I get here. I knew how I got there. I knew why. I was just thinking, how could I allow myself to do the things I had done? But it was late. I remember it was late. Everybody was locked down. I went in, they give you a box of stuff. You go in and go to the bunk, and I just closed the door, and I hear this, Barry, roll your stuff up. You get moved. And I just got in there. I'm like, why am I getting moved? Don't worry about it. Just come to the door. So I went over to the door. They moved to the pod next door. But come to find out, there was a guy in there. When he saw me, he started pushing the button, the panic button. Inside your every cell has like a speaker and a button you can talk, back and forth to the COs, whatever. When I walked in, he started pushing the button, the panic button, telling me, I fear for my life. This guy's going to kill me, whatever.
Okay.
And it was something we had gotten. He had done something, that I'd been looking for him for quite some time. But his friend we got a hold of. His friend's the one that was actually on the bed that we had broke a lot of bones on. We had done something too. But yeah, anyway, so they moved me to the pod next door. In the pod, we had a guy by the name of James Collier, down from down south. Tim Sears, another Northeast cat. We were in there, and they were always trying to get me to go to a Bible study. And I remember James came up to me one day, and he's like, hey, man, I heard you used to be a pastor, at a church. You want to go to the Bible study? And verbatim, I remember saying to him, hey, man, I don't ask you about your past. You don't ask me about my past. I don't talk to anybody in here. Don't talk to me.
Is that the culture of the jail? Is that jail etiquette? I don't know what that is. Was that your?
That's just my thing.
Okay.
Here, I grew up in the penal system.
Right.
My uncle said, you go to jail, you stay to yourself, man. And his thing was, anybody black says anything to you, punch them. You just go start fighting. I didn't have to do that.
Okay.
But that was his mentality. But anyway, James came up, hey man, I heard you be a pastor, like, man, I'm cool. Don't talk about my past, and just let me stay to myself. But he kept praying for me every day. I remember one time my lawyer had come up to pull me out, and he wanted to talk to me about my charges. They wanted to give me 5 and 5, 1 and wild. What that means is do 5 years, stay in jail, and start the next 5-year sentence. And it'd be about 7.5 years. I told him, I'm not good for that, man. I'm not, no. I just gave him $13,500. I thought, I'm getting out, smack on the hand, let me just go home. Didn't happen like that. So he comes to me, he tells me that. So I remember going into my sister, calling my sister up, and I said, hey, I need you to call up so-and-so, go get the money, and just get me out. Man, Chris, I had this, like a huge check in my spirit, like my heart was telling me like something's not right, and I knew it was God, but I didn't know how to respond. So I told my sister, hey, sis, let me call you back. So I remember get off the phone. I went upstairs, went to my cell, closed the door, and I remember sitting on the bed, and I remember just saying, Lord, if you truly forgive me of my sins, if you truly come into my heart, I'll be a lethal weapon against Satan. I'll make sure that lives are changed and souls are won for your kingdom. Just save me. And I had this 2 years come to mind. I thought, Right on. So one of my biker buddies, man, he was my celly, long hair dude. We were a 17-hour day lockdown, man. We would wrestle, we'd fight in there. I'd take his hair, wrap him up, choke him out. We just having fun. It was every night, man. It was fun like this. You know what I mean? But I will say this: all the fighting and all the reveling that I did, I didn't know how to deal with my emotions, Chris. I could deal with physical pain. I just couldn't deal with emotional pain.
Mm-hmm. Well, and when you're in the jail, you don't have the ability to numb it with any narcotic or alcohol or anything. It's just, yeah.
So, and I come to realize this later on, while I was doing time, that I just wanted somebody to hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
You
wanted to be hurt?
Oh yeah.
Because you wanted the pain?
I wanted the physical pain.
Yeah.
I can deal with physical pain.
Yeah. Okay.
I just could not deal with the emotional pain. And all the hurt that I'd caused my kids and even my wife at the time, my parents, it's just my sisters. I mean, it's just, when somebody makes a mistake, it doesn't affect just you.
Mm-hmm.
It affects your colony, your community, and I realized that. But anyway, so one night, him and I, remember my celly were sitting down, and I just told him, hey man, I'm going, I'm getting 2 years. He's like, how you getting 2 years, man? You just gave your lawyer $13,500. You're going home. I said, no, I'm getting 2 years. Did you talk to the judge or to the lawyers? No, man. Holy Spirit told me. I said, that's because you're praying. Hold on, man. I'm like, no, man, that's because you're praying, man. Holy Spirit told me I'm getting 2 years, bro. He said, man, you're high, bro. Come on, give me some of that. I said, man, I don't have anything. He swore up and down, man, you're high,
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, man, really, I just gave my heart to Jesus Christ, man. I said, I'm going to live my life for him now. He couldn't wrap his mind around that. But it became a journey. My journey started then. But I remember one night, like after the kidnapping, I have nightmares. I had a hard time sleeping, and I was very, very jumpy. And so they'd bring food around for us to eat, to take some night medicine. So him and I were in the cell one night, and we're eating a bowl of cereal, right? Just got our medication, so we're sitting there eating a bowl of cereal. He looks over at me, he takes my bowl and just smacks it right in my face. I mean, just all over me. So, and I was like, right on. And he jumps up. He's scared. Now he jumps up. Man, don't do anything. I said, no, it's all good, man, for real. He's like, no, really, man, I don't want no trouble. And I was like, no, for real, man, it's good, Corey. I said, man, good for you. I said, man, I'm always trying to get somebody to do something, man. But ain't nobody ever had the guts to do it, man. I said, you know what? Right on. You know what I mean? I cleaned the milk off of me, cleaned the mess up, give him a high five, went on about my business. You know what I mean? Now, the next time we wrestled, I took it out on him. But now I tell you, hey, man, I'm getting 2 years. So my lawyer came in and he questioned me. He's like, hey, why did you run that night? I was like, not important. He said, oh, it's okay. He said, I'm your attorney. What I it's just say between you and I. Because ultimately the plan was to get me out on probation, but me being on probation in Rhode Island, I was supposed to get on a bus and go live with my uncle. We already had this set up. My dad already called my uncle. I'd already talked to my uncle on the phone. I'm going to, go there. I'm going to straighten my life up. And, his rules were just, you're going to be here, you're going to work, and you're going to work, and you're going to work.
Yeah.
No
discipline.
No craziness.
Yeah.
Military man, had a lot of respect for him. So that was a plan. But my lawyer came to me, Jeffrey says to me, he says, why did you run? And I'm like, man, that's not important. He goes, no, it's okay. You can tell me. I said, for real, Jeff, man, I had a pound of meth on me, man. I had all this ammunition. I had this. I was getting ready to go do this. He's like, that's all I wanted to know. I believe that he made a deal with the judge. Well, it's all God. Number one, I am so grateful for prison.
Yeah.
Prison saved my life. I'm thankful that I went through that time. I'm thankful that I got a way to get my heart right, get my mind right, and get my life right.
Yeah. That's crazy. I'm I'm impressed to hear you say it. And obviously the reflections in hindsight are always 2020. But to be thankful for that environment and to fully understand what got you there, what was going on at the time, and to look back and be able to reflect on it this way is really peculiar. That's crazy.
I wouldn't want to do it again. Don't get me wrong. I'm good. I got a buddy of mine, Ryan, and I, we talk about this several times. It's like, because he gave his heart to Christ in prison as well.
Okay.
But man, I was freer on the inside than I'd ever been on the outside.
Really?
I remember when I was in Moberly, I did my state time in Moberly, but I remember one time I told the Lord, I want, no matter how much time I get, I said, I knew I was doing my time. I said, Lord, I just want to carry a smile. So I said, and I kept having that. So I started using drugs intravenously. And, I don't care if I taste something, smell something, somebody bump up against me the wrong way, and I'd get this woof come over me. If you use needles, you know what I'm saying.
Okay.
So, but I'd had this every once in a while, and I was like, man, I don't want that no more, Lord. I need to be delivered from this. That's not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I said, Lord, I'm going to pray like Elijah. I'm going to pray prostrate, for 7 days. But when I get up, I want to have a smile. I want to carry a smile while I'm locked up. And I don't want to have these cravings anymore. So I remember 7 days go by, poof, I get up and poof, I got the big old grin on me. So I walk by the rotunda one day, and Miss Smalley says,
what is the rotunda?
The rotunda is a small area. Let's say it's like an octopus. It's like that's the head, and the arms is like where the cell or the runways for the cells. The rotunda can see all the runways for the prison cells.
Okay, got it.
Miss Molly calls me up. She said, Barry, come up here real quick. I walked by. I said, what's up? She said, what are you grinning for? I said, Miss Smiley, you don't want to know. She said, no, you got to tell me what you're grinning for. I said, Miss Smiley, you really don't want me to tell you. She said, oh, no, you got to tell me. I'll put you in a hole. I said, Miss Smiley, are you sure? She said, I'm not going to ask you again. I said, Miss Smiley, I gave my heart to Jesus Christ. I'm no longer that man I used to be. I'm a new creation in Christ Jesus. And she says, get out of here. Get out of here. But 2 days before I got released to go to the Fed, do my federal time, she called me up. She said, Barry, come up here. I said, what's up, Miss Smalley? She said, I've been doing this a lot of years. She said, I've seen this be a revolving door for a lot of men. Mm-hmm. She said, but you are one person I know that I will never see in here again. Mm-hmm. I said, right on, Miss Smalley, I appreciate that. She said, go enjoy your life. I said, well, after I do the Fed time.
Yeah, I was going to say, you walk right out of there and walk right into the feds. So how long were you in state detention?
I was there for 2 years.
Okay.
Actually, and how long was I there? A little over a year, about a year or something. Because I was locked up for 6 months. So before I get ready to go to the feds, I'd been working in the chapel for a while. The chaplain came to me and said, hey, Mike, he said, the feds come to get you tomorrow. It was on Wednesday. He said, the feds come to get you tomorrow. He said, do you want to preach tonight? I said, yeah, I'll preach. But I had this sermon where I take a piece of paper, fold it up, tear it up, and then when I pull it out, it's a cross. Mm-hmm. So I did this sermon on this, and we had a bunch of guys. We had a bus come in that day. And a bunch of guys came to the sermon, and I gave an altar call, and 6 guys raised their hand. They want to accept Christ. And I remember the chaplain said, Mike, we take them over to the side and pray with them. I said, yeah. So we go to the side, and I'm holding hands. We're all holding hands. I'm praying. I lead them in the sinner's prayer, and this guy on the left side looks over at me and says, oh, you're Michael Berry. I said, what's up? He said, yeah, you're such and such. Said my nickname. You shot me. I said, man, you don't know me. He said, no, you're such and such. You shot me. I said, man, you don't know me. But I had this tendency when I was going somewhere, Chris, I'd always walk in front of somebody. Mm-hmm. If I knew you wanted to get me, I'd always give somebody an opportunity to swing on me, whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's different now. But even though we leave, it's late at night. It's about almost 10 o'clock. They're taking us back to our housing units, and he's behind me. But I don't have the mentality, Lord, let him swing on me. Mm-hmm. I was like, Lord, I don't know who this is. You got to show me who this is, God.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't say anything else to me. But the whole time I'm praying back to my housing unit. I don't know where he went. So the next time, all night I'm praying. I didn't get very much sleep. And I'm going to wake up the next day. I was like, Lord, you got to show me who this is.
Mm-hmm.
And it clicked. He's the guy on a motorcycle. I said, all right, Lord. Well, I had a bunch of my buddies, the Christian buddies I had led to the Lord. They come to my cell. They're like, hey, man, this so-and-so said that, man, you shot him, man. Let's go get him. Let's smash him. Fight him. I'm like, no, I'm not. We ain't doing that, man.
Mm-hmm.
No, man, we need to get him, Mike, before he gets you. I said, bro, we're not doing that. I said, I gave my heart to Christ. You guys gave your heart to Christ.
That's it.
We're going to live our lives as Christian men. I said, as a matter of fact, you're not going to walk with me on the yard today. Oh, man, you can't do that. I said, you guys ain't walking with me. So we went to chow. And on the way up to chow, I walked by myself. I remember walking in the chow hall, and it was like middle school, man. There's Michael Berry. He shot so-and-so. Mm-hmm. But I didn't say nothing to anybody. But one thing the Lord showed me, Chris, when I first got locked up is don't brag about what you've done and don't talk about it. One thing I learned locked up, when you're locked up, I mean, people, they're the president of, Kalamazoo.
Mm-hmm.
They're the president of Yahoo or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're this. They shot this. They own this car. They had this much money. There's so much of that going on. But I never talked about my past in a way to glorify
mm-hmm.
Satan or the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm in the chow hall, and I'm like, Lord, you gotta show me. How can I bring glory to you?
Mm-hmm.
And he showed me. I get back to my housing unit. They did count. Let us go. I put the word out. Hey, have so-and-so meet me over at the chapel.
Mm-hmm.
So I told one of my buddies, won't you go with me? I'll let you be a witness in case I have to do anything. I'll have somebody else there with me. So we go in. I'm in the back. I'm standing up. And he comes to the door, and I drop to my knees. And I'm crying, man. Big old alligator tears. I remember looking up at him. I said, hey, bro. I said, these tears are not tears of fear. You know what I'm capable of doing, what kind of man I used to be. I said, these tears are tears of repentance. I said, I know I shot you, and I'm asking you to forgive me for what I've done. I'm sorry. Sorry for the hurt I caused your family. And I still didn't know who he was. But I knew, I met him.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know who he was related to or anything. He didn't say nothing, just turned around, walked away. Nothing else was said. So a couple days later, feds picked me up, and I go do I go to a holding facility for the feds while I'm doing my, sentencing and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So they came in, asked me some questions. I didn't want to, cooperate with them on a few things. They said to me, so I just want to give you a heads up. This man in the back is a U.S. Marshal. Since you don't want to cooperate with us, he's going to come in and put handcuffs on you and take you to federal prison. And Chris, I was arrogant. And I said, man, this... Now, I didn't say anything to him at the time as they said that. And I was like, you're not putting no gun charge on me. I'm not a felon. That's a misdemeanor. It's okay. Well, sure enough, they got me. They got me since I didn't cooperate with them. They got me for being in the act of committing a felony.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was like a catch-22.
Mm-hmm.
It's called something with the commerce or something, because we don't make guns in Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
Chamber of Commerce. So, yeah. So I went and got sentenced, and they gave me. Well, I got sentenced to the state. They gave me 4 years. So now I don't know. I'm kind of didn't understand what was going on. Before I got to Moberly, I didn't understand what was going on because I know the Lord told me 2 years. Now I got 4 years. Now the feds picked me up. Now I don't know. I really don't know what's going on. So anyway, you get sentenced there. I'm in the federal holding facility for a while, and they give me. I got charged, sentenced to 24 months federal prison. So overall, a little over 3 years I ended up doing with everything, and I went and did my federal time. So best thing could happen to me.
So in your federal time, were you still in Bible studies and still doing all that?
Oh
or-
yeah,
okay.
yeah. When I got to USP Leavenworth, man, I was in. So
Yeah, let's take a quick break. Come back.
all right. I got a can of chicken and an avocado out of my truck.
Okay. Is that what you normally I was gonna say, like, I don't even know, like, how do you normally take care of yourself? How do you what do you normally eat? How do you normally
Man, I
eat a lot of protein? And
I try to get over 200 something grams a day of protein.
you doing shakes and stuff like that, or all natural?
No. So a buddy of mine, Matt, he sells eggs. So I get about 15, 20 dozen every couple of weeks. So I eat about 12 to 18 eggs a day.
Oh wow.
So in the morning,
The
I get
whole
up.
egg?
Yeah.
The yolk and everything. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I get up in the morning and I'll go to the gym. I'll come back. I eat 6 eggs and maybe a piece of sausage or some rice.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a while, I have an avocado. A couple hours later, I have a shake. It's got 6 eggs in it. And then,
Raw eggs.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So my girlfriend, bless her heart, man, she bought me this ninja thing.
Yeah.
so it blends it out. I mean, I'll swallow a bunch of eggs like it ain't nothing.
Sure.
No, but it just makes it a lot better, Put a little ice in there. It helps it out a little bit.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so and then a couple hours later, I'll eat a can of chicken with an avocado, and then
just like a
8-ounce can.
okay.
Yeah, 6. I think that's about 6 ounces.
Yeah.
I eat that with an avocado, and then I'll have a little bit later. I'll have a protein shake. It's got the 6 eggs in it.
Mm-hmm. So you're doing the protein shake, like the protein powder and the eggs? Okay.
Yeah. So I get about 62 grams of protein with my shake. So, and then I hit a banana in between. It's really weird. I've trained myself to eat every 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So if I don't eat, I start getting shaky.
Yeah. Do you
like
need
a little
to eat
kid.
now?
No, I'm good. I had right before I got here. I got myself some.
Okay.
But anyway, it's really weird, man. I get a little shaky. I remember somebody asked me that if I'm a diabetic. I'm like, no, I'm not a diabetic. I said, my body's just used to eating, and if I don't eat at a certain time, I start getting a little shaky.
That's crazy.
So
that's crazy. And so, like, do you ever eat normally? Like, I mean, like, what do you eat for dinner? Like, you're dating right now. I'm like, how do you?
Yeah. So, man, my girlfriend, man, Michelle, she's such a sweetheart, man. She is so good. Like, I have got a sweet tooth. Man,
This is hilarious.
Chris, I used to eat a dozen donuts every other day.
Are you serious?
Oh, every other day. Yeah, it was bad.
When's the last time you had a donut?
The last time?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I don't know.
You
Sounds good right now, though.
You are all disciplined.
Now, hold on. Now, I found these protein donuts, like $4 a piece. I get one of those every once in a while.
What kind are they?
Quest, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's called Quest.
Yeah. Have you ever had a honey stinger? Like one of those waffles? The honey waffles?
No.
Oh, man.
Is it protein?
It's mostly like for, no, there's a little protein in it.
Bad influence on me.
It's just,
I'm going to call you like, hey, man, I gained 3 pounds, man. It's your fault. I feel like I'm getting weight talking about it.
oh, man. It's so good. Just, I'm a sweet tooth too. Like if I go sweet or salty, it's sweet every day of the week, twice on Sunday.
Yeah, so I have I eat a lot of peanut butter.
Yeah,
so if I have a sweet tooth, like I'll eat a couple spoons of peanut butter.
Yeah,
with a little bit of honey on it.
Yeah,
we just slam it. I cut milk out of my diet. I cut bread out of my diet. I cut no sugar. Every once in a while, like I might make myself a sugar-free chocolate pie.
Okay.
Or custard.
Yeah.
I love custard, so I can eat a bunch of custard. I don't use sugar, so I use a artificial sweetener.
Sure.
So
yeah. What's your sweetener of choice?
Man, I don't know what it's called. Again, my girlfriend, man, she's Michelle. Yeah. Man, she's a sweetheart, man. She hooks me up, man. You know what I mean? She's like this. I know you're a little fatty. Come here. That's awesome. I know you're a little fatty. Let me give you something sweet. A fat kid in the candy store.
That is awesome.
She does me good.
That's awesome. Oh, that's right. And she works out with you too, right?
Oh,
I mean,
every
you guys are
day,
peas and
man.
carrots.
Yeah, she's man. Yeah, she's looking good, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's man. Here, when I look at her, Chris, honestly, since my divorce with my kids' mom, and I shared this with her, but I also had lunch with my daughter a few weeks ago, and I'm in tears, and I told her, hey, sweetheart, when everything happened between your mom and I just couldn't find my way back. I couldn't find my footing, and I don't know what it was. It was just, I loved her, adored her. I just couldn't see past her, And because of that, Chris, I ended up, when I got out of prison, I went through a program called the Master's Commission. And the Master's Commission is a discipleship program, about 9 months to a year long. And you sign a purity covenant. You won't date, So I signed it, and I actually used that as an excuse for the second year. Because, people were trying to fix me up, trying to meet somebody. And I just wasn't having it. I just really was seeking the Lord. I loved where I was at, my walk with God and everything. But then I ended up meeting somebody from the church, and we ended up getting married. And bad decision, got a divorce. She was alcoholic. Verbally abusive. Ended up, get a divorce. Married somebody else, and I thought that was it. She had her daughter, and it just didn't work out. And now here I am, 3 marriages, and Michelle and I, we broke up. We're back together now. We broke up for a while, and I was like, man, something's wrong with Michael Berry. I went to counseling. I was like, hey, I've got 3 failed marriages. I'm not one that ever slept around. I didn't have a lot of girlfriends, so one woman person. And I remember telling them, man, I need fixed, and now, Michelle and I have been together, back together now for over a year. And, we have cut out, and I'll be transparent with you, we have cut out all physical aspects of our relationship. When you take the ambiguity out of that, and it's just you and the Lord, and you're serving God together. Because we serve the Lord together. We go to Regen together. We pray together, small group together. I mean, honestly, I can't get enough of her. I don't want to say that to her all the time. You know what I mean? But when you're sitting next to me, I just want you next to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But, now that I've cut all that out of our relationship, and now it's about the Lord, bro, there's nothing better than serving God with a godly woman. So I told my daughter, I said, Princess, I said, I've had these failed relationships because I kept looking for a Laura, her mom's name. I never found it, but I was looking for another Laura, but that's not what I needed. I needed Jesus Christ to be the center, and like I was saying earlier, if Jesus Christ was the center, then her and I would have still been married. We would have worked through it, but I was not the godly man that I should have been. But now, Michelle gets to have that godly man. Michelle is really what I needed was the Lord, but for the God to give me somebody, and now that God has, now the Lord is the center of my life, I don't need anybody in my life. I want somebody. And there's a difference, because in the past I needed somebody to fill that void, but now Jesus Christ has filled that void in my life. So now I want Michelle. And Michelle doesn't need me. She's good by herself, but she wants me. And that's what makes it so healthy and such a, when I look at that, it's like, I don't deserve this. And I struggle with this. Even now sometimes, Lord, I don't deserve somebody to love me like she loves me. I don't deserve to have somebody care for me like she cares for me. I don't deserve to have somebody care for my kids, my grandkids, my family like she does. But she does, because it's not flesh seeking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing.
So yeah.
Yeah, very good, very good.
Yeah, I try to stick to I'm not a strict eater, but there's things I just don't eat.
Yeah,
because I still have a problem when I eat to get full. And that's, I usually eat about a pound of bacon a day.
Still.
Hey, that's Matt's fault. Yeah, that's Matt. Matt butchered his pigs, man. He had 1,500 pounds of pork, man. I'm like, hey, let me get some of that. So yeah, I'm like, she, because we work out in the morning.
Yeah.
Michelle go work out with me. Also, we don't sleep in the same house.
Yeah.
You see, at her place, I got mine.
Yeah.
And again, we took that out of our relationship. Yeah. But we work out in the mornings. We get done. She'll come to the house. I'll cook breakfast, and we'll pray together. And I'll leave, and go to work.
Off you go. Yeah.
Yep.
Very good. All right. So picking back up, you were we covered. You did few years in state, mm-hmm. and then you moved into the federal system. Mm-hmm. And how long were you in the federal system?
Couple years
there, mm-hmm. and then were you still pursuing the Lord in that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when I made that decision on the side of my bunk about, serving the Lord, I meant that.
Okay.
So I had the opportunity to lead, 32 grown men to the mm-hmm. Lord while during my incarceration, but not just lead them, but disciple them. Mm-hmm. One of them, Jason Rice, a buddy of mine, to this day, he did 7 years. When he got out, he's still serving God, loves the Lord. Mm-hmm. Rough around the edges sometimes, mm-hmm. but when you talk to him, Jesus Christ, that's the center of his life.
Yep.
He's got an amazing wife now, amazing family, amazing job. He's just a fantastically wonderful person. Mm-hmm. But the Lord has changed his life. Mm-hmm. We realize that. Like my buddy Ryan, same thing. It's like we talk about, Ryan's done good for himself, man. Rough around the edges, mm-hmm. but loves God. Mm-hmm. We're just those guys that keep asking God to forgive us, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's excellent. That's excellent. So when you were released, you were in mid-30s at this point?
I was 36.
Okay, yeah. So what was that like starting over?
I'll tell you, man. The day I got out of prison, when I first went to the feds, I remember getting off the bus thinking, I'm not going here. I'm going to the camp. Mm-hmm. I'm like, no, you're going here. Nah, there's a mix-up. I'm not going to the big old prison. It's the big house. They call it the big house. Yeah. I'm going to the camp. Now I go inside and figure it out. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I ended up staying there for a couple of years. But I remember when I got off, I walked off, and in the state, when you get off the bus, there's guys lined up on the fence, just lined up, see who they know. Hey, what's up? Whatever. And the feds are just all. When you walk into the, to your pod or whatever, it's they're just lined up on the walls, see how they knew. Well, I had this old cat walk up to me, older guy walk up. We call him an old head. Mm-hmm. He walks up, he went throughout this thing to give him a handshake. He's from Northeast. I got a Northeast cat. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't do the handshake anymore. He's like, oh, you're my bunkie, man. I've been asking him, but give me somebody from the old hood, whatever. I'm like, hey, man, I don't get down like that. His name was Dog Patch. I say, Dog Patch, I don't get down like that no more, man. I'm a Christian. I'm doing my time serving God. And I remember, he didn't like it. I didn't try to push my beliefs on him or anything. I mean, there's a couple of nights we were in a 13-day lockdown because the wetbacks and the Chicanos, the Mahalos and the Chicanos got into a fight. They locked us down for 13 days. And I don't mean that, when I say wetbacks, I don't mean that disrespectfully. My kids are half Mexican, so that's not a derogative
I understand.
Statement.
These are just street names and terms that
that's what in prison, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Mojados, is what they call them. But I just want everybody to know I'm not saying it in a derogative way. But anyway, so the Mojados and the Chicanos got into a fight and they locked it down for 13 days. And I remember during the lockdown, we got out like every 3 days to take a shower. Mm-hmm. It was bad. No store. We couldn't buy anything from the store. We had boiled eggs and bologna, But I remember at nighttime, like I would get up in the middle of the night and pray because I didn't want to bother my bunkie, So I was praying one night, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I got up and I'm praying prostrate on the ground. He gets up and swings around. His foot hits me in the head, kicks me, and he jumps up and he starts cussing me out, just giving me a what to. all this Christian stuff, and I said, hey, man, well, he got done. So I stood up sideways. I'm getting ready to click him.
Mm-hmm.
So I stand sideways. I'm getting ready to hit this dude. I remember the Holy Spirit saying, just listen. So I let him talk. He gets done. I told him, dog patch, now you're going to sit down. You're going to shut up. You're going to listen to me. I said, you know me, man. I don't disrespect anybody. I say to myself, I said, but I am a Christian. I take this time at nighttime because I don't want to bother you during the daytime.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but I will tell you this. If you ever raise your voice to me again, I'm going to break your jaw. And never again. He never disrespect me. Lockdown happened. 2 days later, he went and got a different bunkie.
Out he goes.
Yeah, he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a couple guys come in. I remember one guy came in, this guy named David, whatever. He was yoked, 235 pounds, just yoked, tattoo guy, real cool dude though. I remember he comes in and I got the bottom bunk. It's my house.
Is the bottom bunk the preferred house?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's
bunk?
just my house.
Okay.
It's just my house. I'm here first. It's my house. It's my bed. Okay. So he come in. It was like just about lockdown time, and he had his bag. He's got out of the hole for making hooch, which is wine. It's jailhouse wine. So anyway,
how do you make it in the toilet?
No, they do it in trash bags.
Okay.
Yeah, they do it in trash bags. It's a process. My brother had it down to a T, man. So when I got to USP 11 work, my brother just left because they made it an FCI, it's a low security prison.
Okay.
When he was there, it was an FC high. It was a high security, but they moved him to Florence, Colorado.
Okay.
So a lot of the guys that were still there, like they knew of me because of my brother. My brother at the time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them did time with my uncle, whatever. But they had a lot of respect. A lot of guys respected me, whatever. So anyway, David gets there and they just bring him in and man, I'm kicked back on my bunk and I have my Bible open and he makes this joke. He's like, "Hey, so you're one of those guys?" I said, "What's one of those guys?" He says, "One of those weak guys that hide behind the Bible. That's propaganda." And I honestly, God, I didn't know what propaganda meant. Mm. I was like, I had no idea.
Awesome. Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
What's that? One of those weak guys, they have to hide behind the Bible. They can't stand on their own. And I cracked this big old grin on my face, man. I said, "You believe that for real?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Right on then." So I got up, grabbed my Bible, closed it. I said, "I'm going to close my Bible. I'm going to set it down. When I get through doing to you what I'm going to do to you, I'm going to ask God. I'm going to pick it back up and ask God, that Jesus Christ forgive me." He said, "Well, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the other guys." Like, right on.
Okay.
So him and I became friends. He was cool until, he got locked up again. Then I got another guy in there, But yeah, I did my time serving the Lord, man.
Okay.
So
that's awesome. Okay. So then you released in the mid-30s. What was it like starting over, right? You went through structured programs, education, rebuilding after that?
When I was in there, I signed up for a program called Connection to Success. Mm-hmm. It's a program that the federal penal system, they offered to inmates coming out, getting back into society. Before I had gone to jail, if I got into trouble, I had a college education. I had, been to Penn Valley, Longview. So I had an associate's in quality assurance. And, I had a good job at one time. Mm-hmm. But I went through this program, and what they do is they teach people how to sit, how to talk, keep eye contact, how to write resumes and whatever. Mm-hmm. So I went to the program, and I was the first recipient that went through there who completed it and was given a car. It was an older car, but it was clean. It ran. Mm-hmm. So, but when I was released, I didn't have a driver's license, didn't have a job. I had federal probation, but state parole. The difference between the two is state parole, let's say I get out, I got 3 years parole. Every day that I'm out goes against that parole. So if I'm doing good up to a year left, I get locked up, they can only keep me for a year longer. They can't keep me for 3 years, just whatever's left on my parole.
Okay.
The feds, when you get out, I had a 3-year probation. So with that, if I get out and I mess up, let's say I'm 2 years left, I get locked up. I have to go back in for 6 months. So I get straightened up, whatever. I get out. I got to start that 3 years probation over again.
Oh, okay.
So it's hard. They make it hard for people really to succeed when you get out. But from my parents picked me up, and from there from the front door of USP Leavenworth, I went to Sheffield Family Life Center, the church that I had spent most of my life at.
Back to North Kansas City.
No, not North Kansas City. There's a difference.
I'm sorry. Yeah, yes.
Northeast.
Northeast KC.
Yeah, it's in Kansas City, but it's Northeast.
Yeah, I'm familiar. So that's actually, just for our listeners' sake, one of the more compelling things. I grew up in Independence, which as and like Noland and,
24.
Yeah, 24 highway. So as this story has unfolded, the tie to my childhood was literally just 5-10 miles away. And I was just flabbergasted when we first started talking, because all of these things that went on with you were during my lifetime, just a few miles from me, and I was oblivious.
Yeah.
And that is the spirit of what we're trying to accomplish here with this podcast, is that there are people all around you all the time who are living stories that are crazy and wonderful and terrible and God honoring and, damning and all of these things all at the same time. And I just couldn't wrap my mind around it. Right. So again, that's just
right.
Just the personal connection for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So you come back to Northeast side, back to Sheffield Family Life, which is still there today, right?
Oh yeah.
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 And
at the time, I mean, years ago, it was like the biggest inner city church there was. But
right.
Man, we reached so many youth.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Northeast is still pretty rough, and
it's gotten worse.
Yeah, changed over quite a bit too, with different nationalities and whatnot. We've got a sort of a church partnership with Central Baptist. It's technically Northeast Kansas City, but it's closer to downtown, but serving a lot of cultures there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you're back there, and remarried, built a business.
Yeah, when I got out, before I got out, Pastor David came to me, the one that was that I had left the church after I just spoke to about my wife having an affair. He got on my visitation while I was in the feds. When he comes see me, he sits down with me with a guy by the name of, we call him Paulie. He's like a son to me. Him and Paulie came to see me, and he sits down. He says, Mike, he says, I just wanted to look in your eyes. He said, I can tell you're a changed man. I said, oh, Pastor, I'm not that man I used to be. And he apologized for his response to me back in the day, whatever.
Oh, same guy. Okay.
Oh yeah. But so when I got out, I joined this program with him called the Master's Commission, and man, like I said, it was a 9-month, almost 1 year discipleship program. So when I got into that, I had to have a full-time job, probation and parole. That program you're not supposed to work, but they bent the rules so I can. I got back into competing martial arts. I started fighting again. Chuck brought me in. He gave me free private lessons, sponsored me, took care of me. Fantastic person. Chuck Wolf was one of the key roles in me helping me keep my mind, getting my mind right again. Again, it was like no fighting outside competition. You can't take your anger out on the bag. You don't get to take your anger out in the ring.
I've never heard anybody go that far. I've heard not take it out of outside the ring or outside the place, but the bag I've always kind of heard and seen as a place of refuge, a place where you can take it out. So having somebody say don't take it out on the bag, that's peculiar.
Yeah, it's a time and place for everything.
Okay.
His thing was always, if you're going to be in a hurry to be correct.
All right.
But Chuck he's been trained by monks. So the depth of the training that he has, I think he's like a 6th or 7th degree black belt, whatever.
Okay. Wow.
But when you're that high, it's a whole different mentality. whole different mentality, But yeah, he was a key role in my life, staying focused, allowing me, and I if I'm not mistaken, I think my federal probation officer, the state parole was not for it at all. Federal probation, when she met, I believe she met Chuck, and she had to interview him or whatever, so I can get back into competing.
Okay.
Because they don't want any kind of violence or anything like that.
Sure.
But yeah, Chuck was a key role to that. But yeah, so I got back into competing, and I was able to. I went to work for Sheffield as a maintenance man. While working there, we had Elias Salinas. He was a friend of mine, Yoli, her dad. He's like, hey, man, come work for us. And he got me on as a maintenance man while I'm there working. I had the opportunity to go to school to get my electrician certification through Vatterite College. And he took me, sat down with Pastor Horn, Roger Horn, who to this day is my mentor. We still talk periodically. But again, Pastor Horn was another key role, a pillar. I'm going to say he's been a pillar in my life. But I sat down with Pastor Horn and Elias. He's like, hey, we have an opportunity for Mike to go to college, to get an electrician certification. We can use an electrician here. So Pastor Horn's response was, let's do it. He says, you know what? He said, just make sure your job gets done.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't leave till it's done. Put your time in and just do it. So I was able to, and at the time, I started giving these private lessons. So I'd get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30. I'm training this couple, kickboxing. They were doing it for weight loss. But I'd work with them until about 5:30, 6 o'clock. And then I'd work from 6 o'clock to about 7:30. And then I'd be at school from 8 to noon. And then back from school from noon to 3, 5, whatever it was. So I got done. And from there, I'd work out at the gym, whatsoever gym. I'd work out from there until 8 o'clock. Or I'd have my private lessons with Chuck at his house, for 2 or 3 hours. My son started living with me. He came to live with me full time. My daughter stayed for a little while. She went back to stay with her mom. And then my son, he came to stay with me and ended up loving it. Then I got him back into competing. He wanted to do boxing, so he'd box at whatsoever. And I was a kickboxer. So we got into competing again. So he would box, but I was kickboxing. So it was awesome, man.
Yeah. So as things go, things go great, and you're on the mountaintop moments. They don't always last. Yeah. They don't always last long. And
man, we did this. He talked me into doing this ringside world championship boxing match, and I've been using my feet for years, So we had a buddy of mine, we call him Tubbs. He was a pro fighter, Kevin Finley. Him and Ray Rivera was a key role in my hand combat. But Kevin would come down to the church, and I'd work out with him. And I'd always tell him, he's a pro fighter, a pro boxer. And I'd always tell him, hey, man, I'm not going to kick you, but I'm going to do these spins. Just we're going to throw hands, because he's working with my hands. I'm going to do these kicks, and I remember I do a jumping spin. Man, you're freaking me out. I do these jumping kicks. Like, man, you're freaking me out. But yeah, man, I had some good people, in my corner. But yeah, my son was living with me. He was competing, and he talked me into doing this ringside world championship tournament. And coach at the time said, yeah, if you fight, man, you and I fight each other. Like, game, let's do it. 2 weeks before we get ready, I'm training hard for this thing, man. And I had this kickboxing match coming up in 6 months. But anyway, I'm training hard for this. I had to train my stance, everything. 2 weeks before we go to fight, this guy's like, I can't do it. My shoulders are messed up. I was like, man, whatever. So my first fight, I was so happy I lost the points, man. I couldn't use my feet. It wore me out. Just fighting this dude like a tough man contest. We got done. I told my son, because I hadn't eaten fast food for forever. I gave him the key. I said, son, go get me a Big Mac from McDonald's, take me home. I remember sleeping for like days, a couple of days. I was like, I need to rest on this one. That's awesome. We had a good time, man. But then I ended up fighting, 2 weeks later, about a month later, and I won. It was kickboxing, so I won. So.
Yeah. How about that? So you okay, so things are going really good, right?
Yes.
And you built a business. Did you go back to the lawn business, or what was
No,
the
I sold the lawn business, sold the paving business, and when I got out, I started. I got my electrician certification. It was April 21st, 2010. I started my construction business.
Okay. And
I've had that since then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the name of your construction company?
Berry Contracting.
Berry Contracting.
Yeah, Berry Roofing and Contracting.
Okay, that's excellent. So between 2010 and today, has everything been rosy and peachy?
It hasn't.
Right.
No, it hasn't. So I ended up. I married somebody from Sheffield, African American girl. I thought, man, it'd be a good match for me. I love minorities anyway. I mean, here, it is what it is, and so I marry her, and I think it's a good thing. Come to find out, she's alcoholic. I didn't find this out until she was, on her honeymoon.
Okay.
But I got married too quick, man.
Yeah.
I didn't want to live in sin. Got married too quick. So it just didn't work out.
Okay.
I go through that, and somebody introduces me to my third wife. I thought, well, this is it. This is, God had this for me. Got married too quick. Didn't work out.
Okay.
So after that, I call up my daughter and I, during the separation before I got a divorce to my third wife, my brother got cancer. So I ended up being his caregiver. He had a.
This is the brother that was ahead of you in the system and everything like that. Kind of moved back. Okay, same guy. Okay.
So the brother above me is Kevin. He was locked up for 21 years he had a 21-year sentence for kidnapping and robbery, and he had a couple years left. Well, they moved him to KU because he had cancer, and he ended up dying in the hospital. And then EJ, my oldest brother, he ended up getting cancer, and when they did surgery on him, they snipped something on the inside, so it was bladder cancer. And we thought bladder cancer was from drinking, because he would drink a handle, every other day. I mean, he was drinking a lot, but it's actually from smoking.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he had bladder cancer, and they went to do surgery on him, and to remove it, and they snipped something with his colon. So he had a colon bag, a colonoscopy
bag.
Yeah, colonoscopy bag, and he had a bladder bag, but they couldn't get it to seal. So it was times, man, I'd have to give him a bath. I mean, sometimes 4 or 5 times a day, middle of the night, whatever. I get a phone call, got to go bathe him, whatever. At the same time, I got hit by a diesel on 71 highway.
You did?
Okay. In a truck. And the diesel was road raging. He had a couple people, but I got injured. Ended up having a few surgeries on my neck. During the time of taking care of my brother, it's very emotional for me. Going through the situation with the injury, the wreck. I started drinking a lot. So one night I went out to see my brother, and on the way back, it's just when he got so light, I can pick him up with one hand. I can bathe him, clean him off with the other hand. He'd make jokes about, oh man, you're like a pit crew, in a NASCAR. I'm a NASCAR. You're like the pit crew, But my conversation sometimes was very short in there because I wanted to cry. But as soon as I walked out that door, man, it would just hit me.
Just emotional.
Oh gosh, yeah. My brother's dying in my hands. And I would cry all the way home. He doesn't live for other than Raymore at the time. I remember walking in to my room one day, and my wife at the time says to me, "Are you on drugs?" I'm like, "No." So why are you crying so much? And I told her, I said, "Trisha, I just got to clean the poop off my brother's balls. He's dying." And she says, "Well, I want a divorce." I remember looking at her saying, "Are you going to do this right now?" And I was on my knees crying, Chris. I remember her reaching down, touching me on the shoulder, and telling me, "I'm not going to leave you until EJ dies." And I just could not get enough vodka into me, man. And I just drank a lot. I just kept drinking more. She ended up moving out. I stayed at the house for a while, and one night my daughter, she came out to a place called Bobby's Place out in Raymore, and I said, "Hey, sweetie pie, would you mind if I call somebody up, come hang out with us?" "No, Dad, go ahead." So I called Michelle up. She come hung out with us, and we just hung out every day for a long time. We went for a while, and things didn't work out. We broke up. She went her way, I went my way, and I got involved with somebody else. Ended up proposing to her, and that didn't work out. And and I started going to counseling.
At some point in there, and again, I just want to make sure I cover some of these other things. That's almost the bottom, right? You were also kind of diagnosed with congestive heart failure at the time and everything too. So you were caring for sick people. Your love life was a mess. Your obviously your past wasn't far behind you.
Right.
Back to drinking. Then you start having some of your own health issues, right? And so this rock bottom just kind of keeps finding you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was drinking so much. I went and had an EKG one day. The doctor called me up, says, "Hey, I'll have the results for you by Tuesday. So on a Thursday, I'll leave the parking lot, get a phone call. Just left the parking lot. Where you at?" And I'm at the stoplight. Just left the appointment. When he's go to the emergency room, I said, "Why is that?" I said, "Well, you're going to have a heart attack." And man, I'd say, you talk about something stopping you. Because I was working out. I was 232 pounds. I was yoked at the time, and I was still working out, and I was still trying to work, and I was still taking care of my brother. And this is inconvenient. This is not the time for it. But yeah, I got diagnosed with congestive heart failure, man. Just put on 11 medications and had to quit drinking. I had to change my life. Michelle and I together, we ended up breaking up for whatever reason. And then I meet this other girl, and I started drinking again. And we go out and end up proposing to her, and we plan on getting married, and we go to this Morgan Wallen concert, and I'm smashed. I'm drinking. I drink way too much. We're there, and I had pulled up some inappropriate pictures of her and I. The guys behind me were looking at the pictures, and it embarrassed her, and I didn't know what was going on. I just knew there was a fight happening between her and I. And next thing you know, I'm wanting to fight these guys, and she's getting in the middle, and, security's getting involved. They're putting us out, and I'm trying to get back inside, and, takes her ring off, and I get in the car. And anyway, it was a big, huge fight. I jump in the truck, and I drive drunk from the Arrowhead Stadium all the way to Grandview. I pop a tire outside the parking lot, and I drive home on a hub. I get out there, end up going to jail for DUI. And she says to me, I go to jail. I'm in the back of this cop car. And I'm thinking, man, this is what I deserve this. I deserve this. And next day, man, I just knew I had to do something. I just can't live like this anymore. Before I had seen her, when Michelle and I were together, right before we broke up, I took a slip on somebody. I started collecting money again. And it just got bad. Casting Crowns has a song, it's a slow fade. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in a blink of an eye. It's one thing leads to another. Be careful what you look at, be careful what you touch, And I took a slip on somebody for a friend. And I started collecting money again. Long story short, went to his house one day and went to pop his tire and almost cut my finger off. I get in the car, and, the person I was with, like, "Did you hit him?" I said, "No, so I need to stop living like this." My mom and Michelle had kept telling me, "You're riding the fence. But Satan owns the fence." It didn't hit until then. And then we break up. I meet this girl. I get proposed, and things start falling apart again. But this time, I told the Lord, I can't live like this. I went to the church and said, "Hey, man, I need help." So I started going through counseling. Michelle said, "Hey," I started talking to Michelle again. We're just friends, no boyfriend, girlfriend. And she said, "Hey, you ought to check out Regen." I was, I'll check it. I'll go with you. So I go with her. a couple times, and she's trying to tell me, "Oh, read this for everybody," and I felt like she was pushing it on me, and so it pushed me away. I didn't want anything to do with it, So she left one day, didn't go to class, whatever. Well, I went anyway. I went to the initiative, that thing you watched, and the Lord spoke to my heart. Said, "Buy the book." So I bought the book and I joined. And you can buy a stack of books, save $40, or buy them one at a time and spend an extra $40.
Okay.
So I told the guys in the group, I don't know if I'm going to finish this because it gets deep. It's 12 steps. It's not like a 12-step program. There's 12 steps you have to go through for healing. And one of it's inventory. You start talking about inventory, all the things you've done, the hurt, everything. So it's just a program that gets deep. And during that program is when Lord told me to live for him. During that program is when my heart started opening up to him. And then I realized that I've been seeking somebody to fill that spot instead of Jesus Christ. So in the process, I finished the program, I graduate, and I go to training to be a leader. So now I'm a leader in the program.
I just want to let that soak, I think. What's different about the spiritual moments in the seed planted by your mother, the admission that you're not able to stop yourself in the car, before the blue lights, the reflections with your warden at the rotunda, then, reflections on your life, changing back at Sheffield, the discipleship program, right? It would appear to me that there's like this line that you're slowly making increasingly deeper understandings of who you are and awareness of who you are, and your deeper and deeper commitments. But I'd like for you to maybe talk through what makes this time different versus, your progression of faith over this whole time.
Yeah, I appreciate that question, Chris. During Regen, when I started the program, Pastor Horn agreed to be my mentor. So we would meet every Monday morning, for breakfast, and we would talk. He says to me one day, "What's different now?" Fair question. He said, your life, and even Michelle's brought that up. She said, your life has been up and down. And before I answer that question, I'll say this. With Regen, I've learned what triggers are. One of my triggers is when somebody does something bad, when my loyalty is broken. That's the gray area. Loyalty is where people want to bring in the gray area in my life. And it's either black or it's white. That's where they want to create a gray area in my life. And I don't allow that. So loyalty is big. Where I come from, loyalty is huge. But when he asked me that, he's like, "What's different?" He said, "I know the answer, but I need you to tell me the answer." I said, "Pastor," the difference is I say yes every day. He said, "That's exactly what it is." So I look back and I see like the triggers when somebody brings that gray area, and what I've done in the past with the kids' mom, when that happens, I go off the deep end. My second wife, business is going great. We're doing huge jobs. I found out she had been seeing somebody in Topeka. I go off the deep end. And I start seeing somebody else. With my third wife, we're flipping houses. We're making a lot of money. She did that. I go off the deep end. She made a decision, I don't want to be married no more. I come to find out, You know, I live my life after 4 or 5 o'clock. It's home. It's family time. So if I got to go out, contract, get paid, my family goes. My wife, and her daughter, they go with us. Well, it was our daughter. You know, they go with me to sign a contract, whatever. It's family time, and my customers would appreciate that. They appreciate that about me. But when I'm with my brother at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, and she starts getting on Facebook, you know, that's the area. That's the gray area. You know, I don't have a gray area. I don't accept a gray area. She starts talking to somebody else, you know, and I remember asking her one time, you know, are you talking to somebody? I've got a gut feeling. Are you, my third wife, are you talking to somebody? She says, yes, I am. I said, who is it? She says, it's an old boyfriend. I said, who is it? She said, I'm not going to tell you. I said, why not? She said, because I know what you're going to do. I said, fair enough. But to where I'm at now, I recognize what the gray areas are that I don't want in my life. So, you know, Michelle, the loyalty was broken at one time, but it was loyalty, not infidelity. There's a difference to that too. You know, we worked through it, you know, fantastic, awesome, amazing woman that I've always needed, always wanted. Everything I've always wanted and needed, didn't know I needed as much. But now that I see those red flags, I know how to address them. One of the things that Basin, the counselor at Abundant Life, and Abundant Life has got this amazing counseling center over there, just amazing. One of the things that Basin says to me one time, he's like, hey, when you start in the middle of our session, I told him, hey man, I need to get up, walk away. This is too much. When I came back, he said, hey, that's when we found out it was a 3-year-old boy that I'm protecting on the inside. He said, when something happens, he said, do this one exercise. Just tap yourself on the shoulder and say, hey, little Mike, it's okay. God's got us. And it's worked, Chris.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's
like
worked.
You physically tap yourself, or is this is a...
I may not, before I would tap myself on the shoulder, but now I just...
Yeah,
you know,
just remind.
Just a little tap. Hey, they didn't mean this.
Okay.
You know, I never got into road rage. You know, but if I'm on my bike and I got my girl with me or my grandkids, you know, don't act dumb. I'm a different person. So there's been times when somebody do something, I'm like, oh, he didn't mean that. And now I get this grin on my face like, oh, he did.
Yeah.
Let that one go. He didn't mean that.
Yeah.
You know, but it's still, nevertheless, saying yes every day. At all cost is what's different now.
Yeah. And now you mentioned you're in leadership, trying to work through this. I mean, what is it like, and how does it feel to guide others through some of the places you've been and whatnot? Now, granted, their stories aren't the same, and people are coming through different things and different addictions and different situations and whatnot, but.
Yeah, Region is a program. I mean, there's all kinds of addictions in there. You know, mine's different. You know, everybody, like I said, everyone's got their own thing they have to go through. But I will say that, man, just to be able to give back what I've been given, to be able to share what's been given to me. I'll have my first group here within the next month or so. It'll be me and another buddy of mine. We're going to be co-leaders in a group, maybe 10, 15 guys. But just being able to give back, you know, what's been given me. But I have to work on being approachable, just to be honest.
Yeah, you mentioned that at the beginning of the podcast, you know, that's something you're working on based on the feedback you got.
Yeah.
You before we got started here, you gave me a coin that you I think intend to give to your disciples. So can you share with me what this is about?
Yeah, I saw those posted on Facebook one time, long time ago, and just like I have these guys I mentor now. I have a young guy. Well, he's in his 30s, back young to me.
Yeah,
but and I have my buddies in my small group that I gave one to. It's a prayer coin. And like I told the guy that I'm working with now, I say, hey buddy, you know, this is Praying is a foreign language to you.
Mm-hmm.
Reading your word is a foreign language to you. It's foreign.
Mm-hmm.
He said, yeah, it is. I said, but I don't expect you to read chapters at a time. He told me, Mike, I read the Bible several times. So what do you remember? He said, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be different this time. I said, bro, just one scripture a day.
Mm-hmm.
Not on your phone. Open your word up. I bought him a new Bible. Open your word up. Let that word come alive as you touch it.
Mm-hmm.
Let that word come alive as you read it.
Mm-hmm.
But I gave him the coin. The coin is a, can I see it for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So this coin has a shield, the Christian shield on one side, and has a picture of a centurion soldier on one side. On the other side, with Jesus Christ with his hands over the top, like praying over him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the guys that I mentor, the guys I minister to now, they have to see there's greatness in them as well. And because that was given to me as a kid, and it stands to this day, I still think about that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at that and you see Jesus Christ himself,
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ himself praying over that soldier, that's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and, you know, Chris, I'm here for you to allow me to come into your house, you know, on your podcast and share my story with others. I mean, what a blessing,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So Pastor Horn says to me that day, what's different? Like you just asked.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, me, no, Pastor. I say yes. He said, well, that's, I know that's the answer. I'll wait for you to say it. And I told him, I said, Pastor, I said, you've been on me for a while about this, man. I said, so I'm ready. He said, you ready? I said, I'm ready to start sharing again. He said, well, let's do it. So, and, you know, the Lord is, he's been on me the Holy Spirit's been speaking to my heart for a while
Mm-hmm.
about it.
Mm-hmm.
But after coming out of prison, I went to work at the, as a volunteer at Jackson County Jail for as a chaplain's assistant for about 6 years. So I got to minister down there. And to be honest, man, I ran into some old buddies,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it was different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of testimonies down there, not to get into them, but anyway, it was just amazing. But it got to the point to where being beat up by verbal abuse, you know, from one of my wives, and just every day working,
Mm-hmm.
putting in so many hours and just letting life, you know, get in the way. Man, I got tired of sharing my story.
Mm-hmm.
But I told Pastor, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
He said, okay. So he set it up, and I shared it at his church one day, and then I started just, you know, periodically I get to share different places, man.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'm so glad you've shared it here. Are you comfortable with a few more questions?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I just want to touch, now I want to, you know, come full circle, kind of know where you are. I'd like to project out and talk about your legacy, how you would like people to receive this message, or how you'd like for your kids to understand who you are presently and, you know, moving forward. So, you know, what do you want your children to understand about your life and your choices?
My granddaughter's 14, about to be 15.
Mm-hmm.
My grandson, Kane, is 12. Going to be 13 pretty quick,
Mm-hmm.
August. My grandson, Roman, just turned 9, you know, and these are the light of my world, man.
Mm-hmm.
So my granddaughter, I take them to church when I have them on the weekend. They go to church with me.
Mm-hmm.
We're sitting in service one day, and she starts crying. Grandpa, I don't know why I'm crying. What is this?
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Phil gives an altar call. She wants to go down. Well, I'm sitting there, and Michelle says to me, look at Madeline. What's up, baby? She goes, I don't know, Grandpa. He's crying. I don't know what's going on with me. I was like, right on. He comes altar call, and she wants to go down. I was like, you want to go? She goes, yeah. I was like, all right. I took her down. Kane's sitting there with us. I want to go too, Grandpa. So he goes down, you know, and they give the heart to Christ,
Mm-hmm.
you know, not because Grandpa told them to,
Mm-hmm.
because they had a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And that feeling was the Holy Spirit indwelling. Jesus Christ says to his disciples, I have got to go. Where are you going? Don't worry about where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm going, I'm going to give you guys somebody.
Mm-hmm.
That's your helper.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they got to experience that Holy Spirit helper that day. You know, a few weeks ago, we're at the house, and I got to have Roman by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in the bedroom. Grandpa, can I talk to you? I said, yeah, what's up? I go in there, Grandpa, I want Jesus Christ come in my heart too. I want to be a Christian. I said, you ready, buddy? He said, yeah, Grandpa. I said, right on then. Come on, boy, let's pray. So yeah, it was awesome, man. So I led him to the Lord.
Yeah.
So now, every single night, I don't care if that joker's up to 12:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, Kane calls me every night. Grandpa, you read the Bible with me? Grandpa, you pray with me?
Yeah.
Every night. So my legacy for my grandkids is to know that, man, I was mean, but I'm changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, my daughter-in-law, bless her heart, sweet girl, says to my son's wife, talked to her one day, I said, you know, Emma, I said, you know, you don't know this. I said, I gave my heart to Christ. You know, I said, I'm changing my life. She says, I know. Excuse me. She says, I know. The boys came home and said, Mom, Grandpa's not mean no more. He don't want to beat nobody up. He wants to pray with people. You little joker. That's right on.
That's awesome.
But just for them to, you know, when they're at my house, I get to have them about 2 or 3 weekends out of the month. Sometimes about at least 2 weekends. You know, Grandpa, can we read the Bible?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this last weekend, man, I had all 3 of them. So I get done praying, like, Grandpa, we want to pray. We want to repeat a prayer after you. So I say a prayer and I say a word. They say a word. I say they repeat this prayer after we get done. Man, I called Michelle. I said, sweetheart, my kids, my grandkids sound like an orchestra to me just now.
That's beautiful.
So my legacy for them to see is this man right here is a changed man.
Yeah.
I love the Lord with all my heart. I love my family.
That's beautiful.
You know, I told my daughter-in-law one day, I said, you know, I took her and David out to eat. I said, I failed my kids. I failed them as a dad. I can't take that. I can't make that time up. But by the grace of God, I will not fail my grandkids. Mm-hmm. You know, now my daughter's married to an amazing guy. You know, good dude, good provider. Mm-hmm. You know, she's a good mom. You know, man, my relationship with my kids is just fantastic. My son's a hard worker, good provider, you know, good marriage. Mm-hmm. And man, I got a fantastic person in my life, man, you know, and don't deserve her, you know. Which one of us guys do deserve our good women? You know what I mean?
Oh, I outkicked my coverage.
You know what I mean? We always know we're outside our league. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I've been blessed, man. Michelle, she's a good woman, man. She's a very, very good woman to me.
That's awesome. So you just over coffee, you had said, you know, like you said, you're ready to share again. You're using this opportunity to talk through, and you said that carrying your past gets easier when you talk about it. Yeah. Why is that? You know, you'd think just the opposite is you'd think, hey, I just don't need to talk about this, right? I'll keep to myself, whatever. But, and it's bold to say these things, right? I mean, you talk about this stuff, you might lose contractors, you might lose people come to find out who you were and they no longer feel safe or whatever. Like I'm not saying that's happened to you, but like, I mean, you still got to carry the weight of your past, and that's tough.
People unfriend me now because of who I voted for. I'm like, what? I still love you. I don't want to be your friend no more. I'm like, okay. I'm like, right on. I'm like, can we agree that we disagree? Still, can I have a hug?
Yeah.
I'm not hugging you.
That's
anyway.
Awesome. That's awesome. We'll let everything else slide, but who you voted for, we just can't. We can't let that go.
You're mean, but you voted for it. I was like, whatever. Okay. Well, don't call me when you need money collected either. Anyway.
So why is it easier to carry the past when you can talk about it?
Yeah. So Michelle has been, she's been amazing for me. Mm-hmm. You know, not only introduced me to Regen, mm-hmm. but you know, Chris, when you've done dark things mm-hmm. and you lived a dark life, that darkness becomes a weight, and that weight becomes a burden. Mm-hmm. And that burden becomes a weapon for Satan to use against you. walking in shame, living in I'm at a place now where I'd be in public. I feel like people are staring at me or saying something. I'd have to leave real quick. I don't want them knowing who I was or what I've done. But I don't, through the grace of God, with Regen, I don't walk in shame no more. This program is amazing. But I told Michelle one day, I said, sweetie, if I just talk about it, it's not beating me up. I don't have nightmares with the faces anymore. I'm not losing sleep like I used to. But she told me one day, I had shared something with her, and not jokingly, and not bragging. It just came out. Hey, I did this to this person, and I had him on, and I was doing this to this person. She comes back to me 2 weeks later, and I thought we were done with the conversation. I just want to get off my chest. She said, hey, will you please not share some of those dark things with me anymore? I was kind of hurt about it at first. And why? She said, I've lost sleep over that.
Thinking about the person that she knows and who she sees today doing something like that.
She says, I never knew you were capable. I never knew you were capable of doing those things. But it's normal in my life, Chris, to live like that. She's helping me realize it's not normal, Chris. It's not normal. Chaos is going to follow. Well, it's followed me all my life. But how I respond to it is different now. It's just different. I could love somebody now and not want to do anything dumb.
Yeah. Now you have this structured life, and you're working to earn your gym time, right? You said it's you said wake up, read, work, read, gym, work. That structure, right? I got to earn my gym time.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be legalistic or anything, but for me alone, I have to earn my gym time.
Yeah.
I've got to read.
Yeah.
And if I wake up too late, if I oversleep, then I read, but I don't get to go to the gym.
Yeah.
So I got to be up on time. I got to read and earn that time to go to the gym.
And so, again, I don't mean to keep talking about your physical form, but you are in really, really great shape. And what does that gym time do for you? Because if you, like I said, we're not taking it out on the bag, but you're it's clear you're very focused on your health. It's clear you're very focused on your, that time in the gym and your body, and so how do you, how is that so important, and why is that so important?
Man, we have to have an outlet. I bow hunt, I fish. You can only bow hunt and fish so much. But when I competed, my dad, like I said, he gave his heart to Christ. He changed man when he died. He died a Christian man. But he would help me when I worked out, got ready for fights. He would help me train. He'd run the stopwatch. It was cool. But now when I'm in the gym, man, it's my thing. I'm learning how to respect myself more by taking care of myself. It's just, I feel better. If I don't work out, I feel off. Regardless, and it's just, this is me.
Right.
Even if I read my word, if I don't work out too, I just feel off. So I got to stay on point. And sometimes I do a 2 a day. I may work out in the morning. If I get off work enough time, I may try to go. And my intention is to do a 2 a day. And by the time I get in my truck from my job site and get to the highway, my body said, you ain't doing that to me.
Nope.
Devil's a liar today.
Yeah, nice try. Okay, so you've said that you want to be a lethal weapon for God.
Yes.
And you are no longer able to use the actual weapon that you used to be, right, with the physical
Right.
side of you. So what does Lethal Weapon for God look like today and now?
Man, like this podcast, I pray that even the people, somebody's out there,
Yeah.
they're struggling, whether it's suicide, whether it's drug addiction, whether it's just being lost or just lonely or being church hurt, family hurt, relationship hurt. The bottom line is, I pray that if they hear my voice, that they hear God speaking to them through my voice. Again, I'm not that guy that gave my heart to Christ and I lived my life and I, glitter and rainbows.
Yeah, it ain't perfect.
No, it's been been jagged. It's been hard. It's been rough. But I want them to know there's still hope. There is still hope. Abundant Life has got a program called Regen. Reach out. I don't care. We have one. We have different places all over Kansas City now. And we just opened up a place over in North Kansas City. But I just want to, or in Liberty. But I am telling you, Regen is not an end-all, be-all, but it's a catalyst. It's a springboard to help us in the right direction.
Very good. What is next for you?
Oh, man. Sell my mom's house, move in with me, get married to this amazing woman that I've got in my life. I haven't proposed yet, so... Here, man, I'm just basing it in the presence of God right now, for real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've cut out the all physical. This is the first time in my life I've been with somebody that don't have the physical aspect in it, and it's Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I love this, man. You could be laughing, and then you just, it's like you talk to me and stare right through me, brother. This is awesome.
I don't mean nothing bad about
no,
that.
I don't know. I just feel it, right? That's what I'm saying. Like that, there's an intensity about you. Like you can tell you can tell this is real. It's not,
bro.
Yeah.
You can't tell me God doesn't exist, man.
Yeah.
I've got an amazing granddaughter that's gone through something, and God is boom there. I got a son-in-law, God, boom there. My daughter, boom. My son, what he did, when he was younger, God showed up. My grandchildren, God there, my mom's healthy, I'm here.
Yeah.
I told my girlfriend, man, I got some amazing woman. I told her, I said, if I die right now, I'm good. I'm good. You can't die yet.
Yeah. That's brilliant. If somebody feels trapped in cycles like you were, what would you tell them?
Man, say yes to Jesus at all cost. Everything we go through, it's going to pass. Just tell yourself, as hard as it is, this too, every situation, this too shall pass.
And what does it mean to say yes? Like when you say that in every situation, right? In all costs, right? Say yes to God. Like, what does that mean?
Well, like, I run a business. Sometimes you got to steal from Peter to pay Paul. Sometimes people don't pay, but you still say yes. I'm tired when I get off work on Mondays. I'm at training from 5:30 to 6:30 for leadership training, and then for leadership meeting, and then from 6:30 to 8:30 is when 7:30 is when we get together as a group, and then 7:30 to 8:30 is when I'll be doing a group with the men. I ride. I try to ride as often as possible, which is only on Mondays. I get to ride from my house to church and back, the time I'm working all the time. But man, I'm tired, but I got to keep going. So saying yes to Jesus is like, I may be tired. My grandson calls me, I'm tired, Chris. I ain't lying. That joker called me 12 o'clock. Boy, we ain't reading tonight. We're going to pray though. You know what I mean? But it's saying yes in that way. Even though you're tired, even though you're uncomfortable, just keep saying yes. Even though it's hard, it's going to get better. It looks like the life's over, divorce. It looks like it's going to be over. It's going to get better. My buddy Kevin went through a hard divorce. Hard divorce. I kept telling him, hey man, it's going to get better. Hey man, it's going to get better. Man, this guy, he looks so good. He back in the gym, man, working out. I mean, yeah, it's hard, but it's gotten better. It gets easier. So it's just going to get easier. And I'm not saying serving God is going to be easy, because it's not easy.
Right.
It is hard sometimes. But I'd rather be doing hard with Jesus than hard with Satan.
Yeah.
So,
And then last question, if you could leave one message behind, what would it be?
Man, say yes to the Lord. You know, most, if not all, people have heard that knock on the door, on the knock on the heart of the door of their heart.
Still small voice.
That small voice, you know, and sometimes it's louder. You know, Jesus Christ said, I knock at the door and see who may open it. Whoever opens, I will come in and sup with them. Jesus wants to be the leader of our life. Jesus wants to be the Lord of our life. But he can't be until we say yes. That's the good thing about us living and loving a sovereign God. He gives us that opportunity to say yes to him. So I would say, just say yes at all costs. You know, for men, I've been reading a book called by Joby Martin called "Stand Up and Act Like a Man."
Yeah, I've recently been gifted that book, and I'm reading it myself.
Yeah. So, you know, here as men, there's going to come a day that we will have to stand before God. I don't care if you believe me or not. It doesn't matter if you agree with it.
Yeah.
There will come a day when we will stand before Christ, and we will have to give an account. Being the priest of our house, being the provider of our house, being the protector of our house. You know, we've got this. Us men, we've got this. It looks hard. It is hard, but we can do this.
Yeah.
You know, and we have what it takes. So I just want to encourage, man, just say yes.
Yeah.
Love your wives with all your heart. Man, people might say, you know, Mike, who are you? You've been divorced 3 times. That's why I'm telling you, love your wives with all your heart. You know what I mean? I mean, here, they're the weaker vessel, not the lesser vessel.
Yeah.
You know, let Christ be the center of your life. Because with Christ being the center of my life and me saying yes every day to him and taking out the sinful lifestyle, man, you can't tell me God doesn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah. Incredible story, incredible testimony. I thank you for coming. Words really escape me, and it's kind of odd because it's my job to be able to talk. But it does mean a lot that you were here. It does mean a lot that you would take time to come and share and be so transparent and open. I wish you all the best and look forward to spending more time with you, as I've committed to a
Bible study,
a Saturday morning with you. So looking forward to that. And yeah, so just one last opportunity, anything to share with folks before we leave?
No, I just want to thank you for this opportunity, Chris. Yeah. You know, I think everybody who listens, you know, that they will listen. Ask them to please share this with somebody. You know, ultimately, I would love to see people just come to know Christ through my story. Yeah. So just share this. You have my permission. Share my story. Yeah. With whoever.
That's excellent.
So yes.
All right. We'll pass that along, and we'll leave it there. So thank you all. This has been the Son of the Law podcast. Hope you have a great day.